Yongping, wake up, save my sister, I'm begging you. She's so wretched. After tonight she may be. A woman's weeping pulled my eyes open. No reek of disinfectant. No beeping monitors. No ward of unbroken white. Instead, walls of packed yellow earth, bowl-thick beams crossed overhead under a bamboo lattice and black slate. Cobwebs in the corner. The place was achingly familiar. By the dim glow of an oil lamp, a beautiful woman lay beside me in a thin short jacket, arms around my neck, pure-faced and frantic. My wife, who'd reproached me all her life and then died in childbirth. I understood then. I'd been reborn. She was Lin Xiaomei. The sister she begged me to save was Lin Xiaolan, her twin, my sister-in-law. The two had fled famine from the north as girls a dozen years back with their parents. Their father hunted these mountains with a fowling piece, and they'd settled. In the summer of 1981, I married Xiaomei, and she fell pregnant. Then her father went up the mountain one day and never came back. Her mother ran into the hills after him and vanished too. The whole village searched and found only his gun, not a bone. The burials still had to be paid for, and the village strongman Wang Erbio seized the chance. Lent Xiaolan 10 yuan, eyeing her looks, a loan shark's 10 that swelled to 50 and sat on her like a mountain. On this little New Year's night, in my first life, Wang Erbio forced his way into her house on the pretext of the debt and shamed her, and before dawn she threw herself into the freezing river. Twins' hearts are joined. From then Xiaomei went silent and grieving, and when her time came the birth went wrong, and I lost wife and child both. My parents, the grandchild gone, faded and died within a few years. Two whole families ruined, because that night I hadn't listened, hadn't gone to save her. For the rest of that long life, I never touched a woman again, and died alone in an ICU, aching for the dead, swearing that if heaven gave me one more chance, I'd save her if it killed me. And here was the chance. Firecrackers somewhere snapped me back. Xiaomei, what day is it? The 23rd of the 12th month. Little New Year. Little New Year. Everything began tonight. Wang Erbio might already be at her house. I scrambled out of the quilt. Where are you going without your clothes? To save your sister. Any later, and it's too late. I pulled on padded trousers and coat, took the fur cap off the wall. Xiaomei started dressing too. I told her to stay. Facing Wang Erbio and his two loafers, she'd only be in more danger. Wait for word. She fretted about the snow and the slick roads and went to ready the place for her sister. I took up a sickle and opened the door onto a blast of cold and goose-feather snow that woke me right up. Xiaolan's house sat outside the village by Gaoqiao Gully, on the path up to the hunting grounds. I half ran through the snow, lit white enough to see by. On the threshing ground, two black shapes stamped at the door, hands in their sleeves. Wang Erbio's hangers-on, Go Dan and Daniel. And from inside came a girl's scream. Move. I raised the sickle, and the killing edge catching the snowlight near made them wet themselves. Yongping, what are you? Is that little bastard Wang Erbio inside? Godan still tried to wield his master's name to cow me. I swung the sickle whistling past, and the two sprang aside and fled. I kicked the door in. Wang Erbio stood bare-chested with his back to me, working at his belt. On the floor a girl in her undershift had her legs locked together and her arms crossed over herself, weeping. I'll repay the money. Just leave me. I'm a maiden. Ruin me, and I'll drown myself and haunt you. And he was answering with his filthy patience. You'd touch even my sister-in-law. I brought the sickle down flat across his back. I'd come to save, not to kill. He turned, hand to the welt, trousers at his ankles, cursing his lookouts. They ran back in with arm-thick clubs. Out. Next stroke takes your life. But with the two at his back, he didn't fear the blade, and leered that since I'd married the elder, why not hand him the younger? He'd pass her back when he tired of her. If you want Xiaolan, send a matchmaker and marry her honestly, instead of this. Her? A beggar who wandered into our village? Only you'd want her kind. Last warning, I'll pay her debt. Go, or this sickle won't have eyes. He stuck his head out at me. Cut me then. Cut my head. You coward sprung from a stone crack. Fearless, and just as I meant to swing, Daniel's club came down on the back of my skull. The sickle dropped, the room spun to stars, and I went down. Brother-in-law, Xiaolan, careless of herself, flung herself over and shook me. Daniel stammered that he might have killed me. Wang Erbio checked my breath and rose, doing up his belt. Only out cold, the night spoiled, no fun in it, and left her with a parting threat. Pay the 50 soon or he'd come every night. The boy couldn't guard her forever. They went, and Xiaolan dragged the door shut against the wind and called me back to waking with her cheek near mine and her warmth at my chest. They've gone. I sat up. The face above me was my dead wife's to the line, only purer. Get dressed. You're not safe here. You're coming to my house. She brightened. You're finally letting me. And went to gather her things. System detected. Host has risked his life to save his sister-in-law, vowing to change his family's fate. Activating the animal catalog system. Confirm binding. No refusal within 3 seconds counts as consent. 3. Who's speaking? 2. 1. Congratulations, animal catalog system bound. So this was my cheat. The novels hadn't lied. Name: Li Yongping. Age 20. Strength, speed, endurance, spirit, 80 each, normal 100. So even my body had been below a normal man's. No wonder, in the first life, I'd lacked the nerve to come. Animal catalog system. The host holds a sheepskin scroll figured with all manner of beasts, all gray. Kill the matching animal to light its figure and gain a reward. A pale yellow scroll surfaced in my mind, every page embroidered with creatures from wolf and tiger down to ant, all gray, a blank space beneath each. The reward, surely, once the kill lit the figure. Novice pack, claim now? Obviously. Item 1, Gray Serum, improves constitution, plus 30 to 70. I drank it. A warm tide rose from the marrow, 1,000 fine needles waking every cell, and I came away brimming. Strength, speed, endurance, spirit all plus 50, now 130. Above a normal man at last. Item 2, a recurve bow and 10 steel arrows. Far better than the old fowling piece. Item 3, skill, basic life sense. Sense praise direction and distance within 10 meters. Costs 5 spirit. No more blind searching. Xiaolan came back with her bundle. I asked after her father's gun, his only keepsake, well kept, meaning to hunt. She stared, stricken. Her father went up the mountain and never returned, and I'd go too? But with another mouth in the house and Xiaomei's belly growing, the family's thin grain wouldn't stretch. I'd have everyone eating meat. She fetched the old muzzleloader, black powder and iron shot tamped down a barrel, fired by a cap. Poor, weak, useless against anything large. I rigged a quick torch from a stick and rag and the last of the kerosene, and she peered at me, startled. You seem far stronger than before. Your eyes are tired. The serum, of course. We locked up and went down toward the village, and on the threshing ground Xiaomei stood shivering at the gate. The twins ran into each other's arms. I put out the torch and scolded her gently for waiting in the cold with the baby. Inside, she'd built up a fire in the corner stove. My parents slept in the side room. Our house was 2 earth rooms split by bamboo lattice. My younger brother Li Yong'an boarded at the town middle school, and my married elder sister Li Yong'wan lived off at the supply co-op with her husband Wang Manin and their 3 children. The eldest, Chunsheng, was Yong'an's classmate, and Yong'an, hating the hard board bed at home over the holiday, had gone to sleep at their place. There was nowhere for Xiaolan but 2 thin quilts on the chest across from us. Xiaolan poured out the night's ordeal to her sister. Xiaomei pressed a hot cloth to the lump on my head and railed at Denyo's heavy hand. The girls whispered and laughed, Xiaolan swearing off all men, then exempting me, the best man under heaven, and we slept, the first sound sleep of this second life. I was up at the second cockcrow, meaning to climb the moment the snow stopped, pay off the 50, and set the family on its feet. I checked the old gun over. Xiaolan had kept it well. My father came out with his chamber pot and I told him Xiaolan had moved in. He sighed. The poor child, of course, but another mouth, and I judged the moment to broach hunting. He balked hard. Her father had died at it. I showed him the recurve. He squinted, doubtful. Bows were worse than guns, surely. Then my mother cried out from the kitchen, a rat behind the water bucket. I lifted the bucket and a 20-centimeter rat bolted for the corner. With 130 in speed, I had my foot on it before it cleared the wall, then dashed it down. Rat slain, figure lit, strength +1, now 131. My mother gaped at how fast I'd moved. I grinned, hoisting the fat thing. Then Xiaolan rose, and my mother took her hand warmly. With her parents gone, of course they'd care for her. With 5 of us, the little room could barely turn. I felt all the more that I had to get up that mountain. You really mean to hunt? It's decided. A whole family can't sit and starve. They protested as one. The snow hid the game. Her father had died at it. But I had life sense. Nothing could hide. Only behind the village, the wheat field edge, boar come for the seedlings. I won't go far. My father relented at last. The woodlet by the field was safer ground. Xiaolan wanted to come and wouldn't be talked out of it until Xiaomei pointed out the village tongues, and she sulked, patting her flat belly beside her pregnant sister. Xiaomei filled an army canteen with hot tea and pressed it on me, shy when I thanked her. I'd never spoken so softly to her before. I slung it on and went out into the snow-buried village. The only tracks a few villagers carrying vegetables to town to sell before the new year. I reached the wheat field above the village in 10 minutes and looked back at Hongqi village, a nothing hamlet in the Qinling. 200-odd households, a winding river outside it where mountain silt had built first-rate paddy after the villagers raised a 3-meter stone dike, planted with willows whose roots held it against the floods. Once the land was contracted to households a few years back, Hongqi had been first in the area to eat its fill. Though with the population swelling so fast, each family's plot was small, and after the grain tax there was only just enough. Outsiders like Xiaolan's family got no land at all. Her father had lived by the gun. With only that weak muzzleloader, he'd never dared the fierce beasts. A wild goat was his best day, and he gave wolves a wide berth. The day he didn't come back, he'd met something fiercer and been taken, or met other hunters, who'd kill a man over his catch as readily as a beast. The wheat lay under a deep quilt of snow, 3 quilts of winter snow. Next year you sleep on steamed bread, the saying went. So no boar would venture out. I only meant to test the skill. At the field and woodlet line, I drank a mouthful of warm tea and triggered life sense. Ants, 1,352. Cockroaches, 4. A grasshopper. All small things, all needing killing to light. No time for that now. I pushed into the woodlet, pinging every few meters, only insects, a dozen casts, and then a warning, spirit below 50%, depleted and risk permanent harm. So the skill wasn't free. I sat on a snow-cleared rock and drank tea, and spirit crept back. Rest restored it. Good. I went on without the skill. Faster now, my above-normal strength and speed, and a burning will to put meat on my family's table carrying me through the deep snow, until after half an hour the black cliff rose ahead. Its caves were the boar used to den at harvest, that no one dared hunt. I rested to full spirit, then crept toward 4 or 5 caves at the foot. 8 meters off I pinged again. No boar, but black eyebrow rat snake. 1, 10 o'clock, 9 meters. A big non-venomous rape flower snake, named for the 2 black brows behind its eyes, hibernating in a cave. A snake soup wouldn't go amiss. I poked a branch into the dark hole, felt something fleshy, levered it up, and drew out a yellow-green snake hung limp on the stick. I pinched it behind the head, and my strength stilled it in moments. Black eyebrow rat snake slain. Figure lit. Spirit +2, now 132. Animal resonance activated. Snake and rat of 1 nest. Strength +10, now 141. So there were bonus pairings. I lashed the snake at my waist and went on. Back home, with the snow still falling, the family huddled by the fire over what to eat. Xiaolan, never idle, climbed down into the dark root cellar to fetch sweet potatoes, the sisters talking the whole time so she wouldn't be afraid, and washed them in ice water for the pig till my father marveled at how diligent the girl was. Yong'an came back from Chuanxing's, half-frozen, told he'd share a bed with me now that Xiaolan had the chest. Then Wang Erbio's shout came at the door. He'd come for the debt before the whole family. My father stood with his pipe. Xiaolan was his in-law's daughter, same as his own. What business was it of Wang's? Wang threw it back. Who'd paid for her parents' burials but him, while we hid? My father choked on it. We'd been too poor then, and that was how Wang had got his hook in. Yong'an, schooled a little, stood up. The 10 to 50 was usury, illegal. He'd report it to the town police. Wang only laughed. The station chief was his brother-in-law, the very reason he lorded it here. Debt's debt. My mother pulled the boy behind her. My father tried to bargain it down. Wang leered that if Xiaolan would spend a night with him he'd consider it, and Xiaomei snatched up a stick and swung at his head, driving the 3 out the door, while he yelled that he'd have his brother-in-law jail the twins for the new year. He set his terms from the threshing ground. Pay before the new year or the 50 became 60, and then he'd sell their 2 earth rooms, Xiaolan's father's only legacy, to settle it. unless she waited for him tonight with the room warm. He left the threat hanging and went. Xiaolan sank down weeping. The family raised her up and sat in silence round the fire, hunting for any way out. Borrow more, sell the year pig whole. The pig at 2 mao a caddy, 200-odd caddies, came to 40-odd yuan, not even enough, and selling it whole meant no lard for the coming year, which mattered more than the meat. Yong'an offered that their uncle Li Yugue, who'd sold his oxen and borrowed to build a watermill and got rich first in the village, had money, but my mother shook her head. His wife wouldn't lend 10 yuan even for the burials, which was how Wang Erbio had got his opening in the first place. My father didn't want the family discord talk. His nephew's wedding after the new year was its own great expense, and sent my mother off to cook. Nothing but vexations, dawn to dusk, he said, and went to sweep the snow. Up the mountain I'd searched a dozen caves when life sense finally gave me bore. 12 o'clock, 9 meters. A meter-high cave dead ahead. Winter-starved, it would be savage if disturbed. I sheltered behind a big rock, charged the muzzle loader with powder and shot, tamped it firm on the stone, fitted a cap, sighted in. I'd hunted with my father-in-law in the first life. The old gun wasn't strange to me, only long unhandled. I threw a stone into the cave. A dull thud, no bore. A bigger stone, a roar at last, but still it wouldn't come out. It felt safest in its den, so I'd have to make it come. On the bare ground I gathered dry thatch and bound it tight to a branch with bark, made a torch. The den would be lined with thatch and sticks for warmth. Fire it, and the boar must bolt. I lit it 3 meters from the mouth, waited for it to burn red, and pitched it in, then ran behind the rock and leveled the gun. Smoke threaded up, then firelight bloomed inside as the bedding caught. My finger tightened on the trigger, sweat at my brow, no idea if this weak gun could even wound the thing. The boar squealed and crashed about, then came to the mouth, nosed the air for danger, and, finding none, shot out like a cannonball. The instant its head cleared, I fired. The shot struck its skull and barely told. Only enraged it. It whirled, marked me behind the rock, and charged. I dropped the gun and ran. Even at 130 speed, I couldn't outpace it. It gained, screaming its fury at the man who'd burned its den. A bole-thick tree caught my eye. I sprang from a rock and caught a branch 2 meters up just as the boar slammed the trunk, the shock swinging me, and hauled myself astride and held on. It backed off, lowered itself, and charged the tree. I heard the wood crack and knew it wouldn't hold. I had to turn this. One hand on the trunk, I drew the recurve off my back, knocked a steel arrow, and waited out the swaying. In the first life, alone, the archery range had been my one solace. The bow was familiar in my hands. The boar tilted back to charge again. I sighted its forehead and loosed. At that range the shaft drove home. It screamed, leapt, shook its head to fling the arrow, blood running, and bolted for its cave, only to find the fire still raging there and veer off, which closed the gap between us. Wounded, it slowed in the snow. My speed brought me onto it, and I sprang like a cat and bore it down into the drift, pinned under my weight, and wrenched the buried arrow free in a gout of blood, and drove it home again until the thing went still. Boar slain, figure lit, endurance +5, now 135. Basic life sense upgraded to intermediate. Range 20 meters, cost 4 spirit. I cleaned the arrow in the snow. Maybe 200 caddies, lean from winter want. I shouldered it, just right for my strength, crushing for any other man. Took up the gun, and started home through the wood. At home, my parents had near decided to sell the whole pig to pay Xiaolan's debt, grieving the lost lard. Xiaolan offered to let them sell her father's rooms and go live in his mountain cave, which the sisters wouldn't hear of. Wang would only follow her there. They were still circling it, my mother off to fry sour cabbage with the last scrapings of lard, when, coming down into the village with the boar on my shoulder, drew eyes. Yongping, what's that you've carried back? A boar, snowed in and idle. So I went up, ran into it, and brought it down. They marveled, taking up your father-in-law's trade already, and you've outdone him. He never once got a boar, and the mountain kept him. Lucky, I suppose. I let it go. The news would run through the village on its own. And it did. The Li family's eldest brought a boar down off the mountain, the crowd behind me swelling as I went. On the threshing ground my family saw the long train of people, and Yong'an, sharp-eyed, made me out under the black bulk. It's my brother, and he's carrying something big and dark. A boar? My father and Xiaomei cried together, and the boy ran to meet me. My father felt me over for hurts. I waved it off. Only a boar. Simple. Keeping the near death of it to myself. Xiaomei pressed a mug of hot tea into my hands, and after the long carry through the snow, a cup from my wife's hand was the whole of happiness. Yeoman took guard over the boar on its rack while the village pressed round. It's this beast that ruins our grain every year. Yongping's done the whole village a good turn. Xiaolan ran from the kitchen, eyes shining with something past admiration. My mother brought out a bowl of thick sour cabbage and sweet potato gruel scraped from the bottom of the pot for me. The others' bowls thin and watery, mostly sweet potato, and I said nothing of it. With this boar, the good days weren't far off. I told the tale over the meal, leaving out the worst of it. A shot, then the arrow. Then a plump middle-aged man appeared smiling at the door. Old Zheng, the pig dealer, come quick at word of a boar, since plenty roamed the hills, but few dared take one. My father set down his bowl and rose to wave him in. Old Zheng wouldn't come in. He'd only heard there was a boar and come to look, busy as he was near the new year. My Yongping brought it down this morning, still warm. Zheng got straight to it. How did we mean to handle the boar? That's Yongping's to say he killed it. Master Zheng, you mean to buy it? Sorry, I'm keeping it for the family to eat. My father, who'd never dreamed I wouldn't sell, smoothed it over and sent Zheng out to the threshing ground to look while we talked. You won't sell a boar this fine? How long since we've had meat? This is for the family. But my mother said it plain. Think of Xiaolan. Her family's buried in debt. And Xiaolan, lo, they'd settled it that morning. Sell her father's 2 rooms, and she'd go live in the mountain cave. I hadn't known. My father told the rest. Grim, pipe out. After I'd left that morning, Wang Erbio had come again, pressing Xiaolan, threatening that the debt would climb to 60 before the new year. There was no law on the man. His brother-in-law ran the town police. So the boar would have to be sold, the debt paid. I'd just go up again. Brother-in-law, no, my debt's mine to pay. It's settled. A boar that size should cover it. I went out, and behind me Xiaolan's eyes brimmed again. Xiaomei took her hand. We're one family now. Zheng was crouched over the carcass when I pushed through the crowd. Lean, he said, but understandable in winter. He checked the hide for rot. That set the price. Just killed. Feel, still warm. No carrion I scavenged. He marveled at the punctures in the skull, too small for a hunting knife. Arrow. An arrow killed a boar? How sharp must it be? Sharp enough. No call to mention steel. There was no such steel in these parts yet. Domestic pig went at 2 mao a catty. He'd take this as game at 3. I pushed. It's game. Add to it. But he held. He'd only get a mao more than home pig in town, or being mostly lean meat, and country folk who worked the land wanted fat for strength. My father judged 3 mao fair, half again over home pig, and I agreed. Zheng went for his steelyard. Then a man much like my father shoved in. Uncle Li Yugue, who'd got rich first off his watermill. He'd come to see the boar, full of cheer about buying half for his son Yongjia's wedding feast, not knowing it was already sold, and not knowing the sale was to clear Xiaolan's debt. I had no warmth for the man. His house had refused us 10 yuan once. Zheng's price will be dearer at market. He grumbled, still angling to save a coin, until his wife, my aunt, hauled him off by the ear back to the mill, the village laughing at the henpecked man. It was her, after all, who'd refused the 10 yuan at the burials, the very gap Wang Erbio had stepped into. Zheng came back with the steelyard and a helper. We slung the boar on the hook. 202 caddies. 3 mao a caddy. 60 yuan 6. He opened his worn black case of bills. Hold. You're not selling that boar to me. Wang Erbio's bark from the crowd, which parted at once. What now? Buying a boar, what else? He crouched, pawing the hide. Too late, it's Zheng's. No money's changed hands, not too late. Old Zheng, keep your purse. I'm buying it. Zheng stepped back. A dealer doesn't cross a village strongman. I killed it. I sell to whom I please. Off. Go Dan and Denyo raised their clubs. Care to spar? And I rolled up my sleeves. With 141 in strength, the 2 were nothing. The villagers scattered. My father, wanting no brawl, urged me to just take Zheng's money and let the boar go. I changed tack, cold smiling. You want the boar so badly? I'm afraid you can't afford it. It's 60 yuan. I'm not short that. He pulled 6 tens from his coat, waving the change. Ah, But the price to Zheng and the price to young Master Wang aren't the same. 5 Mao a caddy for you. 101, call it 100. The extra 40 was exactly his usurer's surplus on Xiaolan. You're mad. Sorry, only this price befits young Master Wang's deep pockets. He couldn't grab it openly with the whole village watching. Then his father arrived, the village head Wang Zhengwo, at his son's whining complaint that I was price gouging. Don't you know inflating prices is against the law? And does the head know loan sharking is against the law? Ask your son. He caught it at once and made to drag Wang Erbio off by the ear. His simple elder son Wang Dachui, ill in childhood, near 30 and forever begging to marry, piped up that he wanted boar meat so he could take a wife. The head hushed him and scattered the crowd. Wang Erbio came back to me. You really mean 5 Mao? Fine, your dead father-in-law's loan to me is unpaid. Shouldn't you settle it? Soon as you pay me, I'll pay you. Then I keep mine and you keep yours. 50 off, take the other 50, and we're square. He slapped down 5 tens. Done, and village head and all these folk are my witnesses. I've taken Wang Erbio's 50, the boar's his, and my father-in-law's debt is wiped clean. I said it loud, in case the man tried to renege, and pocketed the bills. He cursed that he'd settle the 5 Mao insult someday, and bargain me back. My father-in-law's 50 canceled mine, but since he'd only ever lent 10, the boar went at 3 Mao after all. You loan shark and I can't oversell a boar? I let it go. Tell Lin Xiaolan there's nothing Wang Erbio can't do. She'd best be ready. Go Dan, Daniel, carry the boar. They slung it on Zheng's own pole and bore it off, and Zheng didn't dare say a word. Zheng shrugged it off. Good to see this village strongman take a loss for once. And I promised, sheepish, to bring him a boar next trip at the same price. He was glad enough of the prospect and hurried off to buy pork for market. The village drifted home gossiping that Wang Erbio had been bested. My father, debt-free and walking taller, went to arrange the year pig slaughter for the next morning, which put off my plan to go up again. Slaughtering takes hands to pin the pig. Xiaolan, when the crowd had gone, came out weeping her thanks. We're family. If you can't sit still, dress that snake. We'll have soup tonight. She took it off eagerly. She'd dressed her father's catch for years, and ran in, my diligent sister-in-law. My mother shouldered a basket for the vegetable plot to sell in town. I told her the New Year goods were my worry now, and went to haul water from the old well while the family bustled, feeling oddly idle with everyone working. That evening it was radish and snake soup with fire-baked flatbread, my mother sparing a full ladle of lard for once with the year pig due in the morning, and the family ate the rare feast crowded together. Yongin, mouth shining, marveled at his first snake meat. I promised to keep him in mountain game, and when he chattered about tasting tiger one day, my father near choked. Would we hunt a tiger? You run from one. And I let it ride, telling Xiaomei what she wanted to hear. Meet a tiger, you run. The laughter carried out into the cold. No boar meat this time, but a good pot of soup and a whole family round one table, which was the thing that mattered. We were up early to slaughter. The butcher came with his bamboo case of knives and scrapers and cinnabar stone and a thin iron tube. Uncle Yugue came too. Mill or no mill, a brother's year pig was a thing he had to attend, and with a neighbor's young man that made for. I held the pig's hindquarters in the pen. Its struggle nothing to me, while the young man took the head, and we hoisted it onto the door plank laid over the wooden basin, my father and uncle gripping the legs. The butcher's stroke was clean and quick. The blood ran into the basin, the most prized of the slaughter dishes, and when it was spent the pig was dead, and Xiaomei bore the blood off to the kitchen. He nicked a hind leg, ran the iron tube under the skin and blew the carcass full so the bristles scraped easy, doused it with boiling water, and we scraped it white, the cinnabar stone for the head and trotters. He took off the head, let the air out, hung it on the rack, opened the belly, and dressed it, the awful, all good eating. The best of the meat he cut into 5-centimeter strips, the gift hangers that ride a bride's gift basket, 2 or 3 to a pig, already spoken for by Uncle Yugue. His pay was a cut of meat in his case. No money changed hands in those days. We washed up and gathered round the 8 immortals table for the slaughter feast, and my father's sugarcane liquor from the 11th month, thick and fragrant. 3 rounds in, the talk loosened. Not selling the pig this year? Uncle asked, flushed. Meant to sell half, but with the boar sold yesterday, we'll keep it all. Right and proper. A year's feeding, keep it for yourselves. he said, not knowing our old hard years. He asked for the 4 trotters too, against his son's feast, and offered to pay me back in pork when he slaughtered his own. My father waved it off, brothers as they were. The feast ran over an hour, faces red, bellies full. After, the butcher went on to the neighbor's pig, my father with him. My mother dried the basin, salted and peppered the cut pork with great care so none would spoil, to brine 3 or 4 days, and then hang in the cooking smoke. Cured meat the old way, good for years. The sisters took the chitlins to the river to wash. I felt idle again, sun not yet at noon, and decided to go up for Zhang's boar. Hunting again, my mother asked without looking up. I promised Jung one. She told me to come back before sundown and not forget the tea, and as I filled the canteen, Wang Erbio's voice came at the door. Early bird, lucky bird. Hunting again. We settled things yesterday. I keep my word. I'll honor what I swore. I've come about something else. I want you to take me up the mountain hunting. Dream on. Don't be hasty. I won't have you do it for nothing. Go Dan, bring it. Go Dan carried in a dark, heavy hunting knife. Thick-backed, the blade faintly figured, a water drop point made for piercing, real weapon steel forged over days by the village smith. Take us up, and it's yours. Generous no? Take you up, to hunt, or to nursemaid you? You underestimate me. Daigneau, show him the real thing. Daigneau shouldered in a gun, no muzzle loader, but a Type 56 semi-automatic rifle. You've a gun like that, and you need me? Truth is, we've hunted the whole mountain and found nothing but hares and pheasants. Nothing worth the powder. So that was it. The best gear, but no eye for game. And if I won't, don't be a fool. Boy, it's your knack for finding game I'm after. The rule of the hunt, he said, was an even split. His 3 a share, me a share. I keep all of mine. Giving you face and you won't take it? Then, cold, I happen to know your sister-in-law's washing chitlins down at the river. My stomach tightened. He spelled out his threat. A slip on the wet bank, a fall in the river, who could say, or his own gallant rescue, and what gratitude might follow. My mother shouted from the kitchen door that she'd take his life if he touched her in-law's daughter. I told her to leave it to me. There was no help for it. Taking the 3 louts up was the only way the sisters at the river stayed safe. I snatched the knife from his hand. You want to hunt? We go now. See, that wasn't so hard, he crowed, and trailed me toward the wheat field with his 2 dogs, all the way trading crude jokes I didn't answer. I led them to the cliff foot, meaning to start at the boar den, boar herd. There'd be more than one. The cave was floored gray with my torch ash, the walls smoked black. Wang Erbio made to step in. I yanked him back. Tracks. I crouched, not boar. Boar leave maple leaf prints, 2 front toes bearing the weight. These were small, petal-shaped, 2 front lobes, and a half-round heel. A lighter animal. Rock goat. Wild goat. Those? Thick on the mountain, not worth the trouble. Then I'll take them, I said, a chance to shed him. Don't. Find a boar, since we're here. I killed mine here. There'll be more around. Hunt boar if you like. I'm after the goats. I followed the prints into the snow toward Gaoqiao Gully, where the cliffs sloped to a 30-degree pitch and the tracks climbed. Rock goats live on the crags. The herd was up the slope. I cut 2 staves with Wang Erbio's knife and started up, and from below came his shout. Wait, we're coming with you. Weren't you hunting boar? Not a hair of one. Go Dan, cut me staves. A sticking plaster I couldn't peel off. By the time they caught up, I'd stopped. The prince turned toward the cliff again. Why stop? We climbed to the summit. Why not just follow and shoot one? Spook them and you get nothing. They're skittish. You're close already. He came round to it once I threatened to go home alone, and we climbed quiet. Why no boar in those caves? I killed one. The rest aren't fools enough to wait there. Their dens are all over the mountain. On the summit, I climbed a boulder and looked down. 7 or 8 rock goats on the crag below, cropping dry grass. Peerless climbers, their hooves hard-rimmed and soft-padded, able to leap and drop where nothing else could. Quiet, see. Wang Erbio reached for the rifle and started loading. What now? Shoot one and haul it back. Your gun's good enough to drop one. But how do you fetch it off a sheer cliff? Go round the way we came. All boulders that way. Better. There's vine creeper everywhere. We braid a rope and climb down. Jingtiao, the Qinling's tough wild withe, a natural cordage. We cut 2 or 3 year withes. Too old or too green won't hold. And in a quarter hour had a 3-strand braid, one end lashed to the rock, the other reaching the ground. Wang Erbio grabbed it to climb. I caught him, something moving in the rocks between us and the goats. A snow leopard. I knew it by the gray-white coat, the black rosettes and rings, the long tail. He near jumped. Quiet. It's after the goats, not you. Its eyes never left the herd. It hadn't marked the summit. Then it struck, a gray blur off the rocks, and it ran one young goat down and took it cleanly, the rest scattering. Not eating, but slinging the carcass up. A female, carrying it back for her cubs. Beautiful, I breathed. However fierce, it's still my dish, Wang Erbio said, and raised the rifle at the climbing leopard. I shoved the barrel down. Mad? That's a snow leopard. Now's the moment, while it's spent. One shot won't kill it, and the instant you fire it marks you. And we're on a summit with nowhere to run. We grappled over the gun while the leopard, indifferent, bore its kill up the slope toward us. And Godan yelped that it was climbing straight at us. Hide. I took the rifle off Wang Erbio, braced it on the rock, and sighted the leopard cresting the summit. Not to kill, but to guard us if it sprang. It set the goat down, panting from the chase, and I held on its head, loath to waste the shot. Then it swung its head and roared a clear warning at our hiding place. It had known we were there all along. Only too set on its cubs to bother, and I eased off the trigger. Why didn't you fire? Didn't you hear it warn us? I'd rather not die here. It took up the goat and went over the ridge. Coward, Wang Erbio sneered. Then go after it yourself, I said, and pushed the rifle back into his hands. He took his 2 dogs and went off down the leopard's trail. I wished them a live return and slid down the wide rope. The startled herd had fled to steeper crag. No matter, with the system I'd find them. Intermediate life sense gave only insects at first. I followed the goat's line, pinged again at 10 meters. Rock goats, 6, 11 o'clock, 22.5 meters. Without the 3 louts I moved sure and silent, and crested a boulder onto the herd standing wary on a steep face, still shaken by the leopard. I drew the recurve, sighted the fattest, and loosed. It bawled and tumbled off the cliff, the rest bolting. Rock goat slain, figure lit, speed +3, now 133. 100-odd caddies, likely the lead goat. I cleaned the arrow in snow and shouldered it. Then a shot across the ridge. Wang Erbio had taken his chance. Unless he's hit the head, I thought, and shook my head. A volley followed, ragged, the sound of men firing as they fled. I'd gone 10 meters when his cries came down. Yongping, save us. It's coming. Hat gone, arms flailing. The 2 dogs more wretched than he. Save you how? I told you that leopard wasn't ours to provoke. I knew at once what I'd do. The wide rope still hung at the summit, but I let him sweat. I'll give you the gun. Only save us. The rifle was plainly empty. From this day you forget about my sister-in-law. Swear it. I swear. Never again, or heaven strike me down. Eyes over his shoulder for the leopard. There's a wide rope at your feet. Take it down. The leopard can't follow. They scrambled down. Daigneau last, the leopard cresting the summit and swiping a paw a hair short of his hand, then standing and roaring, refusing to leave. On the ground Wang Erbio gasped relief. I pointed out the leopard still glaring from the ridge. What did you do to it? Followed it to its den, shot when it was feeding the cubs. You killed a cub? Missed even that, and it came after us. So the cubs lived. It would leave once it had carried its kill home. Kill the cubs, and we'd never have come down. I drew the recurve and loosed past its ear into the sky. The bolt's hiss told it had met a real foe, and it roared once and bounded back the way it came. Up the rope we went, the goat lashed to its end and hauled after. The leopard was gone, back to guard its cubs. Wang Erbio, safe, started in again with his crude talk about the twins. I stood and warned him off the ridge. Then he reneged on the spot. I swore if you saved me. And you didn't. I climbed the rope myself, so the oath's void. Quick as that. I near regretted not leaving him to the leopard. Touch one finger of Lin Xiaolan's, and I'll take you down if it kills me. We'll see who she becomes. There's nothing Wang Erbio can't do. Tell her to be ready. And that cursed leopard, I'll come back and cut it to pieces. Go Dan, Daigneau move. He shouldered his rifle and swaggered off downhill. A turtle's egg of a man. Ant slain, spirit +0.1. Now 132.1. One had died under my palm when I slapped the rock. I packed up and went down with the goat, the sun on the ridgeline. Coming into the village, the questions came again. Another boar? You're something, but a rock goat being common in the Qinling, No crowd trailed me this time. Xiaomei and Xiaolan and Yong'an waited at the threshing ground. Yong'an ran to meet me, envious, wanting to hunt too, and Xiaomei shushed him. He was the family's one scholar, their hope. 100-odd caddies, light enough. Are you a strong man now, brother? Do you want me to be? Then no one could bully us. Then I'll be one, and keep you safe. The sisters went in to roll noodles. Pork gravy hand-pulled noodles tonight. The whole year pig kept, the kitchen heaped with meat. I met my mother on the path under 2 heavy baskets of vegetables and took the load. She wouldn't be told to stop selling it. The year's oil and salt came from those few yuan. And I let her be, a farm woman who fretted when idle. The smell of the pork gravy noodles met me at the door. Xiaomei had started the pot the moment she saw us. She handed me a bowl heaped with noodles, and when I asked if she'd given me all of them, she said proudly that she'd made plenty. Near the new year, the family could eat its fill a few days at least. In my first life, after both families were destroyed, I'd never once had a warm meal like this. We didn't wait for my father, off helping at the neighbor's slaughter. The good days, she could see, were getting better. Good. Every meal like this from now on. I'll hunt more, trade game for grain. I won't have this family go hungry. My mother brought out her own bowl, mostly broth. You worry me, always up that mountain. I'll be careful, Ma. Guess what Wang Erbio and I found up there today? A snow leopard. Xiaolan stared. Her father always said snow leopards kept to the deep mountains. Winter, it came down for food. And I told it over the noodles. The family wrapped. The 3 louts near run down and killed, saved only when I let them down the withe rope. Brother-in-law, you're a good man, saving even those 3. I'd meant to say it was all for her sake, but Wang Erbio had already reneged on his oath, so I let it lie. My mother approved. To save a life is to build 7 stories of merit. Leaving a man to die isn't the Li family's way. My father came in late, reeking of liquor from the neighbor's slaughter feast, but pleased. The Li family's days are getting better, and seeing the rock goat in the corner, said it would do for old Zheng. Wild goat eats far better than boar, none of the rank tang of the home-raised kind. So tomorrow my mother would sell vegetables in town, and I'd carry the goat along, buy the New Year goods, and bring it home to eat if Zheng didn't want it. The 50 from the boar covered everything. We'll all go to town tomorrow, my father said, fist up, full of confidence. Xiaolan offered to stay and mind the house. She wasn't really family, but I wouldn't have it. She was family now, and I meant to buy everyone a new set of clothes. Xiaomei lit up. In those years, only children got new clothes at the new year. My mother fussed about the money. The old folks didn't need new clothes. And then a voice at the door. It was the village head, Wang Jiangwo, with a great slab of boar meat. Come to thank me for saving his son's life. It's your boar anyway. I took it. Wang Erbio must have told him of the leopard. Xiaomei poured tea. But he'd come for more than thanks. Was it true we'd found the leopard on the cliff behind the wheat field? It was. Then we've a real problem. That's right behind the village. If it starves and comes down and kills someone, that's a disaster. It has to be dealt with. My father agreed, passing round his 9-fin cigarettes, the boxed kind kept for guests. Wang Jiangwo's plan, with a chopping gesture, kill it. My father paled, who'd dare? And Wang Jiangwo looked at me. I never approved of their hunting it. They wouldn't listen and got chased for it. I've a muzzle loader and a bow. Sending me after a leopard is feeding a wolf to a tiger. It's a gun you want? Kill the leopard and the Type 50 SIXS yours. Ammunition too. 3 men with that gun fled it. 1 man alone? Helpers, then, name who you want. It's not numbers. I held out my empty bowl to Xiaomei with a wink. Any noodles left? This thin broth never fills a man. Wang Jiangwo caught it at once. Out with it then. Kill the leopard, and I'll have the village storehouse give you 100 caddies of wheat. 100? Milled down, that's little flour. Another 100 caddies of millet. Then, that's all I can authorize. 200 caddies. His care was half for the village's safety and half for revenge on his son's account. Done. Come to my house for the gun whenever you decide. He rose quick, lest I change my mind, and I saw him out. You're really going? Xiaomei took my hand, the family anxious round me. 200 caddies of grain, enough to feed us a long time. We're short on food. I can't pass it up. It was my first goal in this second life. Get the family fed. They cried out together. A leopard's no bore. It could cost my life. But I waved it off. I didn't say tomorrow. When I'm ready. Sleep. We've New Year goods to buy in the morning. I had a powerful patron in the system. I'd find a way. We were up before dawn and off. Over the swaying plank and wire footbridge the villagers had built, down the riverbank and up onto the commune road. 3 or 4 li to where the little river met a larger one, in the 100-year market town of Hiku sat. Board-fronted shops, blue brick walls, 2 streets. The old street thick with tailors and fried dough stalls and barbers, and the riverbank street of rough shanties. And between them, the open market square. My father set the vegetables out on oilcloth. I carried the goat to the pork stalls, where old Zheng was hanging fresh cuts and crying his wares. He didn't place me at first, too many faces a day, until I said Hongqi village, the boar. Ah, and that's a rock goat? I meant to bring you a boar, but only found this. Do you want it? He had me wait aside while he served, then took it. At boar price, 3 mao a catty, since wild goat eats better than boar. I'll come back for the price. He weighed it later, 125 catties, 34 yuan 5. And a Hui customer had already bought it off him by the time I returned. Money made without lifting a hand. Next time I come, I mean to hunt the snow leopard. Want it? A leopard? Don't joke. Want it or not? If you truly take one, of course, but not at 3 mao. We'll talk price when I bring it. He'd wait for my good news. I gave my father a 10 for couplets and New Year prints, and took Xiaomei, Xiaolan, and Yong'an up the old street for clothes. 4-star task. A child trafficker works the old street, snatching children under 3 and leaving by the dock steamer. Rescue the child to complete the task. Reward unknown. My first system task, and no simple one. The old street was packed at New Year, which was exactly why the trafficker struck then. I'd have to wait until one acted before I could move. Yong'an and I queued at the barber's. New Year haircuts, an old custom. The master in his washed blue smock working a hand-cranked clipper and a paper-thin razor. A few minutes each, 2 mao the pair, and out. As we stepped into the street, a woman's wail rose. Qiang, my boy, where are you? Has anyone seen my child? The system had been exact. I sent Yong'an to find the sisters and went over. A woman in her 20s sat on the ground by a back basket with a rooster in it, weeping. The crowd gathered, asking. A boy, just past 2, in a black padded coat. She'd taken him in to buy clothes, let him out to relieve himself at the curb, and when she came out he was gone. Her husband off helping a neighbor slaughter, she'd come alone to sell the chicken. A cadre-looking man in his middle years stepped up to organize a search. People fanned out asking passers-by. I went to him. A boy just past 2 can't have gone far? No. Anyone finding a toddler wandering would shout it out? They would. Has anyone shouted? No. Then he's been taken by a trafficker. And a trafficker doesn't hide the child. He carries him out. And there's only one road out. The dock. The steamer to the county seat's about to leave, he said, checking his old Shanghai watch, alarmed. The mother came too, and we ran for the dock as the steamer's whistle blew. A young man was carrying a black-coated, crying boy down toward the boat, hushing him with a fruit candy, threatening and coaxing by turns until the child, 2 years old against the lure of sweets, went quiet. He boarded and pushed to the farthest corner. The boatman pulled the plank and the steamer eased off. Stop the boat. We're getting on, the cadre shouted. Missed it. Tomorrow, the boatman called from the wheelhouse. I'm Deputy Mayor Zhou of Hiku. We believe a child trafficker has boarded with a stolen child. Stop the boat now. The passengers murmured, Deputy Mayor Zhou, a good man, and no one dared complain. The boatman brought her back in. The trafficker, seeing it, edged toward the stern to dodge the search. The mother went down the boat calling, Qiang, and the boy answered Ma, before a hand clamped his mouth. She checked child after child. Nothing. He's not here, she said, despairing. Look again, I said. The system wasn't wrong, and asked the boatman, any other space? He pointed at the stern. With me, said Zhou, and we ran. The mother knew her boy at a glance in the young man's arms and rushed him. Stop. One more step and I throw him in the river. The man hauled the child up over the water. Ma, the boy cried, mouth free now. Zhou caught the mother back. He'll do it, and stepped up himself, calm. Young man, this is wrong. I'm past right and wrong. You're young. Why take a road with no way back? Set the boy down. Hand him to me, and it's a few years in prison. Throw him in this cold, and if he dies, it's a capital crime. Tell me what's driven you to this. If I can help, I will. The man's eyes filled. His family ate 1 meal a day and not enough. The village had given them the worst land at the contracting because his grandfather had been a landlord, And after the grain tax, there was nothing left. The village head had warned that if he spoke of it, even that land would be taken. Zhou was shaken. Landlord talk, in this day, is nonsense, and swore before the whole boat to set the land matter right if the man would only put the child down and come to the station. The man broke, weeping his thanks, and sank to his knees, and the child, slipping, was caught by me in a stride, the 133 in speed earning its keep, before he could fall. Mother and son clung together sobbing. Half the boat wept with them. The passengers bound the man's hands, and Zhou marched him off, the boat sounding its praise of him as it pulled out upriver. I offered to come to the station. Zhou waved it off, asked my name, Li Yongping, of Hongqi village, and noted it, and the mother bowed deep over her boy. Task complete. Reward, a hunting dog. Where? A prime sighthound with fine hunting ability. It's lying at your door this moment. Name it, to command it. Then I'll call you Shandian, lightning. Yongin found me, full of awe at the rescue, and we went to pay for the clothes. Xiaomei had bargained a bagful down to 31 yuan, proud of it. We bought fruit candy and melon seeds at the co-op, packed and jostling in its rare busy season. Oil and good rice and flour took ration tickets, but sweets and vinegar and soy needed only money, and Xiaomei, list in hand, swept through it. My pocket near empty. I still bought the two girls a flowered handkerchief each. We found my parents at the market with baskets of New Year goods, honeycomb coal, couplets, prints, calendars, incense and candles for the New Year's Eve offering to the ancestors. My mother fretted again over the new clothes for the old folks. My father hushed her. The children's filial heart, be content. I collected the goat money from Zhang. Bring me whatever game you take, and promised him the leopard, price to be settled. And we carried the heaped goods home, my father walking tall past the other villagers whose thinner baskets told the difference. Over the footbridge, the villagers washing by the river marveled at our load. My father, who'd once only nodded and hurried past, lingered to chat, taller than I'd ever seen him. At the threshing ground, a black dog lay at our gate, Shandian, who rose and ran to me wagging, every line of him a fine hound, a Qinling sighthound, streamlined and strong, loyal to its master and hostile to strangers, keen-nosed and built to chase. Yongin clung to my leg, delighted. Xiaolan crouched to stroke it. Tomorrow I take him up for the leopard. My mother worried, so near the new year, but I wouldn't wait. Busy with the festival, there'd be no time, and once it warmed, the leopard might climb deep into the mountains and be lost. The leopard was worth a fortune and the 200 caddies besides. Xiaolan pressed to come along. She knew the herbs, could treat a wound, and Xiaomei, pregnant, would rest easier if her sister went. I left it for the morning. On the way to haul water, Shandian bared its teeth and drove off villagers who reached to pet it, but quieted at a word from me. I didn't want it feared into harm. That night, dinner done, I went to Wang Jiangwo's for the gun. He played slow. What matter was that? Until I made the pistol gesture, then went for the Type 56 and a box of cartridges. But Wang Erbio came home and saw it. That's my gun. Why give it to him? He's going up to kill the leopard that chased you. His muzzleloader won't do. No, I'll kill it myself, with my own hands. I swore it. Father and son grappled over the gun, Wang Erbio snatching it back, refusing to be talked out of his revenge, and then turning it on me. I had to come along, take his orders, make up for stopping his shot that day. Sorry, I won't. New Year's coming. The house is busy. He blocked me with the barrel. His father snapped at him, and Shandian, at my heel, Lun settled him with a snarl when he reached to touch it. Fierce. I like it, and demanded I give him the dog instead. Then he'd let me off the trip. You really want this dog? Then a wager. Wang Erbio, who fancied himself unbeaten at cards, took it. If Shandian goes to you, he's yours, and I'll come hunt the leopard at your command. If he won't go to you, you lose. I won't go with you. You hunt it yourself, or lend me the gun and I kill it alone. And fair warning, he bites, I'm not liable. I stepped back 3 paces and left the dog to him. Wang Erbio fetched boar meat, knowing how to win a hound. But Shandian's ears flattened, his teeth bared, and when the man crept close, the dog sprang to within 3 feet, and Wang Erbio sat down hard in the dirt. The boar meat dropped, and went pale and damp, and conceded. You'd best keep that vicious cur leashed, or I'll have him. If he hasn't touched you, touch 1 hair of him, and I'm not done with you. Shandian, home. The dog trotted after me, tail high, as if to say, see how I scared the trousers off him. Word of Wang Erbio being frightened by a dog got round somehow, and next day, when he readied to hunt the leopard, only Go Dan and Inyo turned up. The card-playing idlers he'd counted on all had sudden errands. He raged, not seeing the cause, and set off anyway with the rifle, but toward my house, not the wheat field. I was shouldering the dried wheat for the watermill when Shandian barked them in like old enemies. Wang Erbio, his hunt collapsed and his swagger gone, trailed me, wheedling now. His men had failed him. Would I come along after all? He need only kill the leopard himself, the carcass all mine? Did you forget yesterday's wager? Or are you reneging again? I've eaten that loss once. You go up and kill it and clear your shame, or I go alone and kill it for you. No thanks, Ode. I won't drag 3 dead weights up after a leopard. He couldn't fathom that all his coaxing got him nowhere, and I left him standing while I carried the wheat to the mill. Uncle Ugoe and his wife working the 2 water-driven machines, the queue of villagers laughing over the year's harvest and the roar of it. Wang Erbio followed to the mill door and shouted me out, then shoved the rifle into my hands. You want the gun? Take it. You're so capable. Go alone, and I hope you come back whole. He stalked off. The threat was that he'd not forgiven the leopard and meant it dead by his own hand someday. The sisters came out. I told them he'd only brought the gun. Then you're going for the leopard? Gun's here, time to set out. Xiaolan insisted on coming. I refused, until she said, fierce, that if I left her she'd move back to her own house and let that lout have at her. The first life's tragedy flashed in me that I could not allow. So she gave her real reason. She knew the mountain's herbs. If you take a fall or a wound, you'll be glad of me. We'd no money for the clinic, so I gathered the medicine that healed my father. Xiao may vouch for it. Then come, but you do as I say. She lit up. We went home, filled the canteen, and I belted on Wang Erbio's hunting knife. Xiaolan checked her cloth strips and herbs into a green canvas bag. We left the muzzle loader, the Type 56 and Shandian were enough, and set off for Gaoqiao Gully, the villagers calling after us. One leered to see Xiaolan behind me. Your sister-in-law? And I didn't bother to set him right. Wang Erbio, hearing of it, chased us to the gully edge to sneer that I'd brought her up for no good reason. No one sees what you do on the mountain, and I drew the knife and ran him off, the killing edge enough to send him bolting back to the village. Don't mind them, Xiaolan said, though she looked at her family's 2 old earth rooms by the gully and her eyes filled. I'm a child with no parents. Let their tongues wag. We climbed the hunting path up the gully and reached the cliff, but the slope I'd scaled before was changed. The days of fair weather had half melted the snow to a sheet of wet and thin ice, too slick to climb. My first step nearly took me down. Only this way up to the summit, and it won't hold. But Xiaolan knew the ground. We needn't take the slope at all. She led me back to the path and on up until we drew level with the summit and crossed the gully into the pine wood. The place was called Songlin Gu, the Pine Valley, an old-growth wood, and past it lay the cave where her father used to shelter. I said I'd like to see it sometime, and she promised to take me when spring came. At the pines we were stopped again. The snow still clung to the branches, melting now into a steady patter like rain that would soak a man's coat through in minutes. But Xiaolan had foreseen it. She drew 2 squares of oilcloth and 2 cloth from old clothing out of her bag, and I marveled, having thought only of the leopard. See now that bringing me was right? Cloth on your head, oilcloth on your back. We went in under the dripping pines. Shandian shed the wet with a shake every few steps, alert all the while. I triggered intermediate life sense, only squirrels and hares. And then Shandian barked hard at 3 o'clock. Could the dog scent past 20 meters? We followed, and a line of single-file plum blossom prints caught my eye. Snow leopard tracks. Its hind feet land exactly in the 4-foot prints, so the trail's sparse, and it walks a straight line. Then Xiaolan found droppings on a rock, pungent even after the meltwater. I smelled them. A leopard's, marking its territory, warning other beasts off. We were close. Deeper into the valley the pines closed over the sky and the light failed. I pinged again. Snow leopard. 1, 10 o'clock, 19.8 meters, and Shandian bade the same bearing. I quieted the dog, and we crept up to a low, earth mound bare of grass. The den. I loaded a clip. Wait here. There are 2 leopards. Mind the other comes back. I went up with Shandian. 3 or 4 meters off I saw the dark mouth in the thatch under the mound, and the leopard's wary eyes within. I tossed a stone in. It roared its warning, and Shandian, before I could stop him, drove his head into the mouth and grappled with it. They fought blind in the dark. Then Shandian fell back for better ground, and the leopard burst out after, a cub, half a grown one's size. The two tore at each other in the dust, Shandian holding but not winning, and the noise would draw the mother. I came in behind, seized the cub by the hindquarters, the 141 in strength holding it fast however it thrashed, and Shandian, with that, got his teeth into its ear, the cub wrenched free, ear torn and bleeding, and I clamped its head, legs locking its haunches. Xiaolan roped now. She ran up with cloth strips. We bound its jaws first, so it couldn't cry to its mother, then its four legs, and it lay helpless. I set it down and worked my numb wrists. You mean to carry a live leopard back? No, it's a cub. It's bait to draw the mother in. After, I'll let it go. You don't kill the young or hunt a line to nothing. She nodded. Her father had taught her the same. I carried the cub off through the pines and found 2 trees 10 meters apart, each with a branch about 3 meters up. Perfect. Xiaolan cut withes. I climbed and lashed the cub firmly to one tree's branch. Want a hand up? I climbed trees as a girl. She took the second tree. I dropped to the first branch myself. We split up. I'll keep you safe, and set Shandian at the roots. Undo its jaws. Let it cry. She did, and the cub wailed. The mother would come fast. Can leopards climb trees? She asked, afraid. I'll have it down before it can. Then a roar, but from Xiaolan's side, not mine. The mother would reach her tree first, where I couldn't get a clean shot, and there was no time to switch. It's coming from your side. Climb higher, hold tight. Never mind the cub. She went up, light and quick. The grown leopard burst into view, blood at its mouth. It had dropped its own kill to race back for the cub. I raised the rifle. No certainty of a clean hit, but no time to wait. The leopard slowed beneath the cub's tree, confused to see it up the branch. I steadied, fixed it, and fired, and missed. It bolted in the smoke, and Shandian tore after it against my call. The leopard, only startled, turned and stood, and struck first. A clean arc through the air and down on the dog, claws raking, while Shandian, brave but overmatched, took the blows and gave ground. It coiled and sprang again with crushing force, and Shandian broke and ran. This time I switched to the recurve, its grip familiar and right in my hands. The leopard came on like lightning, and Shandian's lure had it running a dead straight line toward me. I knocked, drew full, fixed its head, and loosed, but it was too fast. The bolt took it in the shoulder instead. It screamed, pulled up, roared, and marked at once where the danger lay. Then wheeled and ran for the cub's tree, nothing matching more than the child. Brother-in-law, it's coming. Xiaolan cried from the treetop, gripping the branch. Hold tight, almost done. I raised the Type 56, 9 rounds in the magazine, and meant to spend them all. The leopard reached the branch where the cub hung, slow now, dragging its wound, and lifted its head to its child with a low, morning call. 10 meters, no cover, the moment. I fired the magazine empty, and through the thinning smoke saw it down and convulsing. Then, careful, I dropped from the branch, drew the knife, and finished it clean. Snow leopard slain, figure lit, speed +10, now 143. Intermediate life sense upgraded to advanced, range 30 meters, cost 3 spirit. Reward, basic precision shooting. Hit rate with a hunting gun raised from 50% to 75%, 5 spirit per shot. So the fiercer the kill, the richer the reward. No wonder I'd missed earlier, at 50-50. A pity I had only the muzzle loader for the skill to work on. Time to get myself a Type 56. Xiaolan climbed down. Is it dead? Dead. She looked at me now with more than admiration. Shandian did most of it. Come, it's clawed, see to it. We freed the cub from the branch, set it by its mother, their last reunion, and unbound its legs. It bolted, raking 3 lines across the back of my hand on the way. Xiaolan ground stanch herbs and bound it. The cub stopped 10 meters off, looked long at its still mother, threw back its head in one last cry, and was gone. Will we ever meet that leopard again? Who knows? But I'd know it. Shandian tore its ear. We don't kill the young or hunt a line to nothing. Keep the green hills and you'll never want for firewood. I shouldered the leopard, 200-odd caddies, much the boar's weight, and we came down out of the pine valley as the sun neared noon, the cloth on my head wringing wet. At home Xiao Mei paced the threshing ground, watching the road. The meal kept warm in the pot, and at last locked up and went to meet us at the gully, only to find Wang Erbio's card-playing crowd squatting in her sister's yard, the door broken open, gambling at Jia Jinhua, while they waited for us to come down dead like Xiaolan's father, jeering that if we didn't come back, the simple elder brother Wang Dachui could have her. She drove them off with a stick of wood. When Xiaolan and I came up and saw the crowd and the smashed door, I shouted them down, and Wang Erbio, seeing the leopard on my shoulder, set his price for letting the matter drop. Hand it over, and he'd forget it. I told him to dream on, and he had his six ring me. I set the leopard down and dealt with them. A wrist caught, an elbow to the ribs, a sweep, and the rest swarming and going down one after another in a few minutes, sprawled and groaning. My coat torn, knuckles raw, but standing easy. Anyone else? Wang Erbio hauled up his beaten crew and fled, swearing a feud. Xiaolan stared, then clapped. You fight as well as you hunt. And I shouldered the leopard and headed not home, but to the village head's house. Xiaomei caught it. Not the way home. I'm going to Wang Jiangwo's first. Shouldn't you eat? He promised 200 caddies of grain for the leopard. I'll collect before he weasels out. Surely the village head keeps his word? Look at the son, and you know the father. I sent the sisters home to eat. I found Wang Jiangwo dozing in the sun. He started up, rubbed his eyes at the leopard, a thing he'd not seen in years, glimpsed once from afar as a young man, and run from. About what we agreed? Your boy's type 56. It did the work. Look at all these gun holes. He talked only of the gun, never the grain. It's his gun. I mean the grain. Grain? Ah, the 200 caddies. My memory. He played confused, then turned reluctant. The leopard would sell for plenty. All of it treasure. Stop, I said. What it sells for is my business. Why's the grain suddenly hard? The storehouse grain, he said, was the villagers' tax grain against disasters. Without higher approval, he couldn't touch a grain of it. You're the village head. You go back on your word? He went through the motions of slapping his own mouth. I caught his hand. He'd be generous, he said. Take the leopard. Keep the type 56 free of charge, but the grain, no help for it. I waited. He dangled 200 caddies to send me up after the leopard, get his son's revenge and the village's safety, and keep all the credit. Will you give me the grain or not? I can't. Can't or won't. Can't. My fist came up, and he warned, unafraid. His son-in-law ran the police station. That striking him was a crime. I lowered it. In any age, the man who throws the first blow pays. We stood at an impasse. The villagers, hearing of the leopard, gathered at his yard but kept their distance, murmuring at the quarrel. Talk here in front of everyone, or inside. Nothing to talk about. Give me the gun back, take the leopard, and we're done. But I held the gun, my only leverage. You want the gun so badly? No 200 caddies, no gun. I'll keep it for you. Then Wang Erbio came staggering up, holding his head, screaming that I'd beaten him and now meant to steal the gun. His father, all wounded fatherly fury, threatened the police station, until Wang Erbio, pressed before the whole crowd to say why I'd beaten him, finally mumbled it. The 6 of them had set on me, and I'd put them all down. The villagers laughed, and Wang Jiangwo, hearing the scorn under it, scattered them, and they went off marveling. 1 man against 6. Hongqi village is changing. He took his son aside for the whole story, brows nodding tighter, and saw his men had struck first. That's all. That's all. What more do you want? Wang Erbio snapped and went in. Anything else, village head? I'll be going. Going? You don't take the village head seriously at all. You hurt my son and his gun, 2 separate things. He was hurt because his 6 attacked me first, self-defense. Even your son-in-law wouldn't speak for you on that. No grain, no gun, I'll keep it for you. And I shouldered the leopard and left him standing helpless. On the road the carcass drew a crowd. I let them touch it. A leopard to tell their grandchildren of. And Xiaomei appeared with a bowl of rice and pork she'd brought lest I go hungry, and the villagers, glad of the chance to handle the beast, carried it home for me while I ate walking, Xiaomei watching the whole loud, proud parade with her eyes brimming. When had the Li family ever known such a day? At home the family had hurried back from the fields. I told the tale over rice and tea, the leopard taken and the cubs set free, and my father nodded. You did right freeing the young. Keep the green hills. Then old Zheng arrived, come fast at word of a leopard, relieved no one had beaten him to it. Not knowing Wang Erbio was in no shape to bid. He crouched over it, then sighed. The gun holes had ruined a whole pelt, the most valuable part, with the bone. The meat was the least of it. He offered 6 mawakati, 3 times home pig, the villagers gasping, but I held. A leopard's no bore. 1.5. He near choked. We worked it down. A whole pelt was worth a fortune, true, but it'd be cut for a coat anyway. He bit and said a yuan, his highest, risky even then, hunting not yet banned, and I took it for the sake of the long acquaintance. 211 caddies. I gave him the odd yuan back, call it friendship, and pocketed 210, more money than the gaping villagers had ever seen. Before he left, I asked him low, was there a black market in Hiku, somewhere I might find a Type 56 of my own, since the village heads had to go back? He glanced round, wary, it was a legal business, then told me. There was, by the riverbank street 20 meters up from the dock, a courtyard always shut, run by one they called Old Zhao, a Sichuan man fond of hot pot, who bought Zhang's unsellable pig offal cheap, which was how they knew each other. He'd put in a word for me. I thanked him, and a plan settled in me. The Type 56 was worth far more than 200 caddies of grain, so Wang Jiangwo would have to come for his son's gun in the end. I waited, but he didn't come. I went with Xiaomei to have the family's long noodles pressed at a neighbor's heavy old hand-cranked press. The 141 in strength turning the wheel without a breath while ordinary men gasped. And we packed the dried noodles in newspaper, 8 bundles to a gift with sweets, for gifts to a set, for the new year. That night, dinner barely begun. The door pushed open and Wang Jingwo's voice came. Li Yongping, step out. My father rose to welcome him in. He refused. I'll never set foot in the Li house again, and I followed him out to the windswept threshing ground where no one could hear. Have you decided? 200 caddies, you'll have it? I waited all day for you, and you didn't come. I've changed my mind. 300 now, or nothing. He near burst. 300? I'd gone mad. I turned to go. He caught me back, pulling rank as an elder, and I gave him the way to save face. As village head, he'd led the killing of a savage leopard, credit and praise from above. Killing a leopard takes paying the man who risks his life, and 300 caddies was small money against the merit, and grain left in the storehouse only molds and feeds rats. Tax grain is taken from the people to be used for the people, and using it to rid them of a leopard was exactly that. He brightened at every turn of it. You should have put it that way to begin with, and led me to the storehouse there, and then lit the lamp, and had me take a sack each of wheat, millet, and corn, 300 caddies. I fetched my father for the wheat, and as the grain came into my hands, I returned his son's Type 56. A debt paid is a debt paid. He clutched it like treasure, and I carried the millet and corn home under one arm each. Easy. Next day, I did the New Year slaughtering. The black hen, the duck, figures lit, attributes up. Resonance, fowl, and flocks activated, while my mother and the sisters worked the kitchen, steaming buns, frying twists and lotus root and dough, the oil unstinted for once. On New Year's Eve, the village rang with firecrackers. We 3 men hung the red couplets and lanterns and the door gods, pasted the new prince and the 1982 calendar with its fat lucky child over the old, a wish for the child in Xiaomei's belly. And after the reunion feast, my father's toast to the family's rising fortunes, a sorrow only at Xiaolan's lost parents. I took Yong'an to tend the ancestors' graves, washed and changed into new clothes, and we played cards through the night to see. The year in. New Year's Day was dumplings, ingots for wealth, folded all together. The second day, visiting the wife's family. The third, helping at Uncle Yogue's for cousin Yongjia's wedding on the 5th, 500 lard buns steamed, the gift hangers and red ribbon baskets, Xiaomei as the bride's attendant, the 8-course feast, and the teasing of the bride. By the 15th, the festival was past. The 16th, everyone back to work. Yong'an off to school in Hiku, my parents to the wheat field, and me itching to hunt after half a month idle. 3-star task. Clean and ready the cave where Lin Xiaolan's father used to shelter, fit to cook in, and stay one night. Reward unknown. Just what I'd meant to do. Xiaolan insisted on coming. Climbing on the 16th wards off illness, the local custom, and besides, only she knew where the cave was. She packed a back basket with saw, axe, sickle, wire, and nails, and her cooking pot and vegetables. I packed bedding, since the task wanted a night's stay and the cold would kill a man without it. The sisters had a quiet word I didn't catch, Xiaolan plainly meaning not to come back. We set off. The villagers leering as ever about the sister-in-law on the mountain. I didn't bother answering. Past the pine valley, the path vanished at a mountain's foot, but Xiaolan knew it. A grass-grown track her father had worn, lost now to disuse, and led the way up. 20 minutes climb brought us to a meter-wide flat against a sheer, barren cliff, and there was the cave, its broken plank door hanging. Xiaolan started for it. I caught her back. That great hole in the door looked wrong. A good shelter left empty draws beasts. She scoffed, rotted. That's all. But I triggered advanced life sense. Wolf, 1, 11 o'clock, 15 meters. Glad I checked. I drew the recurve and had her throw a stone through the door hole. A howl answered. Low, Shandian bayed back. She shrank behind me, gripping my coat. I held full draw on the hole, but nothing came, and even the howl died. Not a wolf's way. A second stone, and a sharper cry, and I eased off, relieved. Only a cub. A grown wolf's howl runs deep and far. A cub's is shrill, near a baby's wail. A cub. Nothing to fear. I drew the knife and sent Shandian in. The plank door, rotted through, gave it a kick. Shandian, wiser after the leopard cub, didn't jam his head in the hole, but went through clean and took the cub in the corner. Quick. No dwelling. The small body still. Wolf slain. Figure lit. Endurance +7. Now 143. So Shandian's kills counted to me too. Xiaolan winced at the blood, but a cub grown is a grown wolf, and these had carried off the family's hens 2 years running. Clean the cave. I'll cut wood for a new door. The mother will be back soon. I felled arm-thick oaks with the axe, 141 in strength, making nothing of it, trimmed and cut them to 3-meter lengths, and built a square frame in the cave mouth. Posts sunk in a dug pit to the roof, a crossbeam nailed, the gaps between frame and wall filled tight with oak and lashed with wire, a 20-centimeter watch slit left in the middle. Xiaolan cleared and scrubbed the cave of every wolf trace, burned the foul bedding and bones, and fixed lunch over a fire at the mouth, noodles in the pot from ice off the frozen stream, with gravy and leftover braised pork from home. Shandian buried what was left of the cub, then patrolled the trees, marking the ground his. We hung the heavy door, no hinges in those days, just pegged top and bottom and hold timbers so it swung. I jumped on it a dozen times. The oak groaned but held. You should have been a carpenter, Xiaolan said. Who'd hang a door like this on a house? It's built for one thing, to hold. Then a long howl far off. Get back, the mother's coming. She wouldn't go. I helped with the leopard, didn't I? And stayed, making torches of the old cotton wadding wound on sticks, since beasts fear fire. I dragged thick oak braces against the door, loaded the muzzle loader, set it through the watch slit, and pinged. Wolf, 1, 9 o'clock, 23.5 meters. Only the mother, a lone wolf, rare. She reached the flat with a bleeding hair in her jaws, a lone hunter's hard winter. This her only catch in all that time. And stopped at the changed door, head cocked, ears up, listening for her cub and hearing nothing. She backed off, howled, anger in it now, knowing. Then came step by careful step to the door, found the watch slit wrong, and turned to flee just as I fired through it. The shot cracked, and the wolf ran. That shot hit her. I was sure of it. But she ran, which only told me how feeble the muzzle loader was. The ball had caught her in the tough hide, no more than a sting she licked at. This time she didn't try the door head on. A gust carried her rank stink to me behind the planks, close, and I knew her next move. Xiaolan, light a torch, quick. She had it ready. The cotton flared, and the mother came nosing at the door, hunting her cub's scent, her muzzle creeping toward the watch slit. And when it filled the slit, I drove the torch hard into it. She screamed and bolted, grinding her burnt mouth on the rock. Dead. Not even badly hurt. The muzzleloader won't do it. We need another way. Twice over now I'd learned this wolf was harder to kill than the leopard had been. For that I'd had the Type 56. Here I had only the old gun, and even hitting her owed to the precision shooting skill raising me to 75%, the killing power just wasn't there. So it came down to the recurve, the only thing that could truly threaten her. Xiaolan took up the 5 remaining torches behind the door, ready to light. The mother came again, mouth bloody and raw, past caution now, and hurled herself straight at the door. Throw it now. The bolt and the torch flew together, but a hair too late. She'd already slammed the planks. The door shuddered. It held, the oak and the braces just enough. Xiaolan gasped, hand on her chest. Light another. She'll come back. She backed off, eyes fixed on the door, certain a few more hits would bring it down. And when she stopped to gather herself for the next charge, I had the bolt drawn full. As she paused, bolt and torch loosed together and struck home. She shrieked and fled toward the stream. Shandian, after her. I threw the door open and the dog shot out. I snatched the knife and ran behind. Xiaolan, stay in the cave. Don't move till I'm back. Be careful. Shandian ran her down through the brush, baying. Wounded, the bolt in her dragging and tearing wider on the branches, she slowed and staggered, and Shandian closed, sprang for the back of her neck. She turned with what claw she had left, but the strike was weak with pain, and the dog slipped it and took her foreleg, then her throat, and held until she went still. By the time I came up with the knife, it was done. A grown wolf, 60 or 70 catties, no small catch. I pulled the bolt, wiped it, shouldered her, and Shandian pranced and crowed the whole way back, showing off the kill. At the cave, Xiaolan had supper going. Ribs in the iron pot with radish and potato, buns toasting at the fire. I told her Shandian had finished the wolf before I reached it. Your father should have had a dog like this, she said. The thought of him close all day, and I turned her from it. The past is past. Think how to reward our hero. Then, lo, careful. The sun was nearly down. Shouldn't she start home? I'd cook for myself. She'd planned this all along, of course, dragging it out. You'd send me down alone in the dark? She said, and the torches were gone, burned for kindling. She'd seen to that. I told her she couldn't stay the night. I'd walk her down. She wouldn't have it. I told her plainly, I have your sister. You are my wife's sister. I will not do a thing that wrongs anyone. She pressed. Her sister had agreed. The two of them, that with Xiaomei pregnant she'd stand in. And I cut it off. That road ruins her. Who would she ever marry then? She'd marry no one, she said. After that night with Wang Erbio, no man on earth was worth anything but me. That night, I'd risked my life to pull her from him. Wasn't it so she could be with me? And she moved on me. No, Xiaolan, we can't. I put her back, firm, shaking my own head clear. She wept. You're cruel to me. And I drew the bedding over her. I'm sorry. I do want to. I can't. Men are all the same. You're right. They are. It's late. Sleep. Then she was up, gathering her coat. She'd go down now, sleep beside her sister, not stay with a man. And when I said she couldn't, not in the dark, she said let the beasts have her on the way. She didn't care. I caught her from behind and held her. If she went down now and a beast took her, the first life's tragedy would simply play again, and that I could not allow. Then grant my wish, and I'll do whatever you say, she pleaded, the last hope in her voice. I looked at her begging eyes and ached, but I would not buy a moment against the rest of her life. I can't, and I won't let you go down. I'll find you the man you're meant to have, believe me. She went quiet at last, pushed my hands off, turned to the wall, and curled small under the wadding, crying soft until she slept. I lay by the fire and slept too, and dreamed of her wedding. Red lanterns, a red veil. Xiaomei laughing as she put her sister's hands into the bridegroom's, the village clapping, and woke swearing to myself I'd give her exactly that day. Task complete. Cave readied. 1 night stayed. Reward: 5 animal traps. 4-star task. At 10 today, the Hiku police station will raid Old Zhao's black market. Help Old Zhao protect it to complete the task. Reward unknown. I woke to it. The food already on at the cave mouth. Xiaolan not looking at me, her voice gone cold. Morning, eat and get up. Are you going down now? Is that not allowed? She turned her back the whole time, no feeling in it. I sent Shandian to see her safely down. Better we didn't walk together, and ate the leftover rib soup noodles, studying the 5 traps, heavy steel jaws on a coil spring, a trip line that snaps them shut hard enough to break a small animal's bone or hold a fox or badger. With these I'd never want for hare or pheasant. But there was no time to set them. I had to reach Old Zhao's before 10. I locked the cave with wire, doused the fire, and went down, not through the village, no patience for the gossips, but along the gully to the river and over the footbridge, hurrying for Hiku. The market was thin after the new year, no old Zheng among the 2 pork sellers, fewer buyers now, no way to keep the meat. I went on to the shut courtyard Zheng had named. Young men loitered at the gate, watching every passerby. One stopped me. I said old Zheng had sent me, dropped the name, made the pistol gesture, and told them, to be believed, that I was the hunter who'd killed the leopard from Hongqi, 211 caddies. That turned them. They let me in. Old Zhao, business, and a middle-aged man with a Sichuan accent came out. I was polite. First meeting. They confirmed the leopard, then took me inside for the story. But I had other business first. What time is it? 9:30. In half an hour the station's men raid this place. He laughed it off. He had people in the station. He'd have been warned. Then a wager. That he liked. I've a wolf in this basket, killed yesterday. If no police come in half an hour, the wolf's yours, free. If they come, you trade me a 90% type 56 and 50 rounds for it. Either way you can't lose. He took it gladly. The wolf was his no matter what, and even had his men set to butchering it for the fun of a hot pot, while he poured me tea. But on my word, he also had them shift the scarce goods out of the storeroom and hide them, better safe. Wooden crates and ration-only stock spirited to the back in 10 practiced minutes. They were half through skinning the wolf when the lookout burst in. The police were coming. Old Zhao went white. No one had warned him. Then steadied, remembering the goods were already gone, and let them come. In marched a man in his 30s or 40s in the dark blue 78 pattern uniform, leading the rest. Director He Weigua, Wang Erbio's brother-in-law, the station chief. He ordered a search, top to bottom, made for the emptied storeroom. They knew the place, kicked the door, and found it bare. He didn't believe it. Everyone knew Zhao had scarce goods there to resell dear. Zhao played the wronged outsider, all smiles and peony cigarettes, swearing he dealt in nothing illegal. He had them search the back too. Nothing. Then he turned to me. I gave my name and trade. A farmer who hunts the off-season. And, when he asked, said I'd taken the wolf with bow and arrow, pointing out the wounds. You're from Hongqi? You know me. Of course. You're our village head Wang's son-in-law. Everyone speaks of you as a fine leader. That pleased him. He grew curious about the bow-killed wolf, said he'd always wanted to hunt and lacked a partner, and that he'd come out to Hongqi sometime and have me take him up the mountain. My stomach dropped. I forced a smile and said it'd be an honor, knowing full well that with the village head's family and me already at odds, He Weigua coming to Hongqi could only mean trouble. The search turned up nothing. He left, with a parting hint that the wolf's hind leg looked good. Zhao understood, all relief, and once they were gone clapped his chest and breathed. Now you can settle our wager. He paid up handsomely, being a businessman of his word, and knowing what I'd just saved him. If those goods had been carted to the station, he'd never have got them back. I asked his name was kept. I gave mine, Li Yongping. He pressed me to stay and drink and eat, stalling, since the gun and rounds were worth real money. But I said I'd things to do at the station and let the hint land. He took it, smart enough, and led me to a wide cabinet, asked my help to shift it, and behind it stood a hidden door with all the storeroom's goods. No wonder the search came up empty. You trust me with this? Aren't you afraid I'll tell them? Without you it'd all be sitting in the station now. I've nothing to hide from you. He opened a fresh crate, a brand new type 56 lying inside. I just hunt. I don't need one this new. But he insisted. A friend who'd pulled him from the fire got the best he had and pressed it into my hands. I worked the bolt. It rang clean, a fine piece, far better than Wang Erbio's. He gave me 5 boxes, 10 rounds each, 50 to fill the magazine, and wished me more leopards. I bought a tin of cooking oil off him besides, and we parted friends. He with a wolf and his goods saved, both winning. Task complete. Reward, a treasure map. A picture rose in my mind. 3 characters, Luanfen Gang, Wildgrave's Ridge, a wide stretch of deep thatch grass, and at its edge a lone earth house, roof gone, 3 broken walls standing, and under the foundation at the middle wall a long wooden box. What place is that? I couldn't place it, and the name boded no good. I'd ask Xiaolan. At the co-op I bought malted milk powder, 2 tins of fruit, sweets, for Xiaomei, who needed the nourishment, and nuts for the sisters, and 3 boxes of cigarettes for my father to offer guests. He liked his own pipe, and household odds and ends, and started home with a full basket. Down by the river sand outside the village, Wang Erbio and his 5 card mates were at Piao Xinyi again, Wang Erbio sweeping the pot with a bluff. Then Li Yongli came along the bank with her new sister-in-law Runyi, each lugging a basket of washing. Li Yongli, Uncle Yogue's daughter, Yongjia's sister, 18 and lovely. The girl Wang Erbio had been pestering through the matchmaker and being refused. He bolted over to help, grabbed her basket despite her telling him to let go, took Runye's too, and waded into the icy river to wash the sheets. all to win Li Yongli over while Run Yi, new to the village, half believed he meant well, and Li Yongli warned her what he was. When the sheet was wrung, he seized Li Yongli's hand and would not release it, declaring himself. She shouted for help, but the river drowned her voice, and Run Ye's small hands couldn't pry him loose. Wang Erbio let go of her hand. I'd just reached the bridge and seen him fawning over Li Yongli. I crossed in 3 strides. He sneered that I turned up everywhere like a ghost. I told him to let go now. Big brother, save me my hand, Li Yongli begged. He set his jaw. He loved her. He was proposing. I shouldn't ruin it. You think you're fit to want her? A toad after a swan. His 5 came running with stones at his shout. I caught his wrist, the 141 in strength making nothing of him, bent it back till he howled, and warned the others a step closer, and I'd snap it. He blubbered surrender, swore he'd never dare again. Li Yongli pulled free and begged me let it end before it made trouble. I flung him into the river. A great splash, for limbs up, and his 5 hauled him out shaking with cold and carried him off, his parting vow that he'd never let this go. Don't be afraid, I told Li Yongli. If he troubles you again, tell me. Run Yi watched me go with something like awe, perhaps her idea of a hero. I knew he'd not be back soon, and went home. Shandian met me wagging. Xiaomei came out, glad. I told her the morning had gone well. The wolf traded for a Type 56. Over the meal, she kept feeding me, then asked Lo what had happened on the mountain between Xiaolan and me. Nothing. I'd never wrong you. She nodded slowly. That explained Xiaolan's silence and sulk. I took a breath and said we should talk it through properly. Xiaolan wouldn't have been so bold without her sister's backing. Xiaomei explained, eyes down. Pregnant, she couldn't meet my needs, so she'd thought to spare me by. I cut in. Every woman gets pregnant. If each one sent her man to another woman, the whole world would come apart. It solved nothing and ruined everything. And most of all, it would ruin Xiaolan. What man could she marry after? Xiaomei said her sister swore she'd never marry. The harm from Wang Erbio too deep. Anger talking. He never actually harmed her, but this would harm her for life. You're her sister. Could you bear to watch that? She came round, ashamed of the plan, and agreed to talk Xiaolan out of it. Xiaolan was kind and hard-working. Men would line up for her. Only the 2 of them had to drop the notion first. She promised. I'd bought the malted milk and oil and treats for her. She went off to wash up glowing. I joined my father mucking out the pigsty. He'd taken Xiaolan's advice and meant to raise 2 pigs this year, she promising to cut grass daily once spring came to feed them. Xiaolan worked in the sty too and wouldn't so much as greet me, still angry or not hearing. I gave my father the cigarettes for guests, and we hauled the precious manure up to the threshing ground to dry for seedling beds. Xiaomei made the local sour cabbage paste soup for supper, generous now with the oil I'd told her to use, and the meal warmed the mood. She even carried a cup of the malted milk to her sister to taste, and Xiaolan's face eased a little at last. At supper, I asked my father about Wildgrave's Ridge. He'd heard of it, deep in the mountains, an unlucky place. He didn't know just where and would ask the village elders. Xiaolan said coldly I'd best not go there at all. She knew it. In fact, past the brushwood beyond the cave. She'd heard the story from her father, who never went near. So she told it. Long ago, a band of hunters lived deep in those mountains, their days much like her father's, until one black night a wolf pack came on them sleeping and they were lost, every one. Months on, when they stopped coming down to trade, some brave men went up to look and found only scattered bones, and dug one great pit and laid them in it together, and from then the place was called Wildgrave's Ridge, and no one went back. Now you see why you mustn't go. I was moved. The common fate of early hunters with no good weapons. Pitiful, I said, and she flared. And my father wasn't? At least they had bones to bury. My father, nothing. That was why she'd never wanted to tell it. I didn't mean that. Your father is my father too. Xiaomei steered us off it and took her sister to wash up. You'll still go? My father asked. I have to see a place like that, if only to take the hunter's lesson to heart. Next morning my father went off with sacks and a pole to buy the 2 piglets. Having taken Xiaolan's plan to heart, I packed a stout hoe in the basket. The map put the box under the wall, filled the canteen, and set out, glad Xiaolan didn't insist on coming. At the fork there stood Wang Erbio in an army greatcoat, shivering, caught a cold from yesterday's dunking, demanding I pay his medicine. I told him his riverside grab of Li Yongli was at best harassment, at worst a crime, and the cold water had been a favor to clear his head. He should thank me. He swore he truly loved her, that he'd sent the matchmaker time and again and been refused, and asked what he could do to change her mind. Even offered to come hunting with me. I told him to think of something himself, and left him standing there pondering. Then Wang Jiangwo called me back from his yard, not for medicine money, but to ask if I'd seen He Weiguo in town. Word travels fast even without telephones. He Weiguo, it turned out, had sent to ask whether I was the Hongqi hunter who'd killed the leopard, because he genuinely wanted a hunting partner and meant to come out and have me take him up the mountain. The village head thought it my great good fortune. I thought, with the feud between us, it could only go wrong. Just then the simple elder brother Wang Dachui ran up sniffling, tugging his father's hand, wanting to go hunt and get himself a wife as the others had teased him he could. His father drove him off with a swat, the boy wailing like a 3-year-old. Wang Jiangwo, embarrassed, confided his trouble. Neither son's marriage gave him peace. Dachui too slow for any girl to take, even a widow unlikely. Erbio fixed on Li Yongli, who'd have none of him. Every family has its hard book to read. He sighed. Perhaps it was his comeuppance. He asked about Erbio's cold. The boy had told it at home as a fall in the river, helping Li Yongli wash, saving face. And his father even hoped the closeness might soften her. I asked again about Wildgrave's Ridge. He too warned me off it, the hunters killed by wolves in a single night. Nobody gone there since. Nothing more than that. I left him to his troubles and headed for the gully. I went by the cave first. The wire on the door was exactly as I'd left it. No one and nothing had come. I took the 5 traps and some wire, rewired the door, crossed the little stream, and went into the brushwood toward Wildgrave's Ridge. It was a wide tangle of finger-thick saplings, slow going with the basket, though Shandian ran delighted circles, scenting small game. 10 minutes in, hare slain by the dog, figure lit, strength +1, now 142, and he trotted up with it, proud, and I let him eat it for his lunch. 20-odd minutes more and the wood thinned to a sloping hillside of dead yellow thatch, dotted with low earth mounds each beside a tall tree, planted, surely, by those long-dead hunters, the trees standing where the men were gone. I climbed one for a view and found, at the ridge's deepest point, 3 ruined earth walls against a sheer cliff. A waste, such a good place. I dropped down and set the 5 traps first along the clear hare runs in the grass, clearing each path, bedding the jaws level and crosswise, baiting with corn over the plate, masking them with soil and grass, wiring each to its tree against a big catch, dragging it off, and tying a cloth strip 2 meters up each trunk to find them again. 5 flags fluttering, a small satisfaction. Then, resting with tea, I pinged Advanced Life Sense and one line caught me. Gorals, 5, 2 o'clock, 12.5 meters. Good meat, not to be missed. I made for a fur to climb for a shot, but as I went up with the Type 56 the grass rustled, and all 5 bolted for the cliff by the walls. Gorals are sharp-eared and quick, I'd forgotten. No matter, the treasure was the real errand. I went down to the ruined house. Black-rotted doorframe and posts, one leaf fallen, the other ready to, a split bamboo partition inside, a blackened table and chairs. At the back a wide wooden bed under the one stretch of surviving roof, still fairly whole. Then a gunshot cracked behind the house and froze me. I ran out and pressed to the wall, waiting. A young man's voice, exultant. "Pa, I hit it." An older man, 40s or 50s, praising his son's aim. "Shoulder it, we'll head back early." Then, "Pa, come see. There's an earth house. Should we look?" And they were coming this way. I quickly hid the Type 56, the recurve, the knife, all my gear, sent Shandian off out of sight, took up the hoe and basket, and played at digging herbs. "Pa, there's someone." The older man came over wary, gun in hand. "What are you doing here?" "Digging herbs." "You. Looks like thatch grass to me." "It's a herb too, most don't know it." "You're hunters?" I heard a shot. He kept his son and the kill behind him, but I'd already seen it was a goral, very likely from the band that had bolted from me, and its belly was full, a pregnant doe. They didn't trouble with the rule against killing the young. He claimed they were local hunters, just trading game for grain, and didn't know the place's name. I asked theirs. "I'm de Bao, he's Bao." Plainly false. No father and son both named Bao, so I gave them Sambao, the village name for me, and kept my own. We traded a half hour of lies. Not one true word between us. The boy wanted to go sit in the house. The father hustled him off, glancing back the whole way, reloading his muzzle loader, as wary of me as I of them. In these empty mountains, a stranger is a real danger. Over game or gear, killing is easy and goes unreported, taken for a beast's work. Just so with Xiaolan's father, whose death no one could ever sort from wolf or man. My new Type 56 would draw eyes. One of me against two was bad odds, so retreating was the wise move. When they rounded the wall, I dropped the hoe and slipped to the corner to watch. The father still looking back, anxious, gun loaded. Only when they vanished into the wood did I breathe. I didn't dig yet. They might double back. I lit a small fire at the wall and toasted my 2 buns, watching for any bird startled up that would betray a return. None came. They were truly gone, wanting no trouble either, having seen nothing of value on me. Fed and rested, I set to digging. I left Shandian to patrol, then matched the map against the ground. The box lay under the foundation at the middle of the left-hand wall, a wall already leaning outward, so that digging straight at the base would bring it down on me. I felled 2 wrist-thick oaks, trimmed them, and braced them hard against the wall from outside. The walls were one connected mass, and the props would hold it however far it tilted. But to reach the box, I'd have to bring the wall down in the end. So I cut withes into a 4 or 5 meter rope, tied one into a prop and threw the other clear, then took up the hoe and began digging along the footing, a careful trench at a time. Earth sheeted down. The wall canted hard, but the props took its full weight. It still wasn't enough. Even pulled, the wall wouldn't fall. So I dug 2 more trenches, a foot deep, until the falling stopped and the lean reached a dozen degrees. Then I gripped the withe rope, backed off 3 or 4 meters, and hauled. The prop didn't budge. The wall weighed far more than I'd thought. I set myself and pulled with everything, and with a roar half the wall came down in a cloud of dust. The other prop brought the rest. Then I dug at the foundation's center, gentle now lest I split the prize, clearing each spadeful by hand. Half an hour in, my fingers met something. I cleared the loose soil and a tan hide came up, wrapping something not heavy, so no gold or jewels. I lifted it out, untied the hemp cord, and unwound layer after layer of hide that had kept whole through who knew how many years, until the prize showed itself. A sandalwood box, a meter long, 20 centimeters wide, dark and old, sweet-scented, lid and body flush and polished smooth, carved over with twining lotus vine and rui cloud heads and a band of fretwork, 2 brass hinges on one side, and a small brass lock on the other. No key. I shook it. Something rolled inside, likely a scroll, a painting. I searched the hide and found no key, so the lock would have to wait for a locksmith someday. I set the box in the basket and folded the hide away in the ruined house for later use. As I shouldered up to go, a bleating came from the cliff behind the house. The Gorals back. A second one would crown the trip. I crept around and saw 4 of them on the cliff edge, calling for the one the strangers had shot, calling to no answer. 3 had full bellies, pregnant, and the 4th was their male leader. I'd no joy in it, but I needed them to lift my family's life, and a herd rebuilds fast once the young come. So I chose the male. I took down the new Type 56, glad of the chance to learn it, scaled a tall fir to a fork 2 meters up for a clear line to the cliff, loaded 10 rounds, set the safety, settled the stock to my shoulder, fixed the foresight on the male, breathed out, and fired. The round took him at over 700 meters a second. He tumbled from the cliff, and the other 3 bolted with their thin alarm whistle, their second flight that day. Goral slain, figure lit, strength +3, now 145. Shandian raced to the fallen male, 70 or 80 caddies, and dragged it to me by the neck. Good, we can go home. A full day? In the thatch I heard a run of clucking and saw one of my trap flags fluttering close. A small bird, gold and deep red, struggled in the jaws, a golden pheasant, the loveliest of them, prized for its blazing plumage. I freed the trigger and wrung its neck. Golden pheasant slain, figure lit, strength +1, now 146. I wiped the blood from the jaws, remasked the trap with grass and soil, baited it, and started back through the brush. The basket would barely close. At the gully stone bridge, a familiar figure waited. Wang Erbio, as if expecting someone. Waiting for me? After your medicine money again. I was joking this morning. You took it for real? He'd recovered. No more sneezing. He'd waited because, that morning, I told him to think of something to change Li Yongli's view of him, and he'd hit on a way to make money. He drew me close, secretive. He'd have his father give him the keys to the village committee's spare rooms, set up tables, and invite the whole village to play cards. Free tea, 1 mao a head a day. 20 players mint 2 yuan a day, 60 a month, and he'd be rich. That was the great scheme. I told him gambling was illegal. He waved it off. His brother-in-law ran the station. What law? And added that if he kept at it, the neighboring villages would come too, and maybe Li Yongli would help him run it. I told him to drop it. If the whole village took to cards, who'd farm? What would they eat? He said he forced no one, and he'd decided, and wouldn't forget that I'd put him onto it. He asked what I'd taken. A pheasant and a goral. A goral? Like a wild goat? You're a hunting hero, at least bag a boar. I let it pass, said I hadn't eaten, and we parted at the fork. Oddly, on slightly better terms. At home the family was clustered at the pigsty over the 2 piglets my father had bought. Sure they'd reach 300 catties by year's end. Xiaolan, still cold to me, only hummed and set the corn husk mash under the piglets' mouths. The new ones couldn't take coarse feed yet. Xiaomei warmed my meal. Leftover paste bean noodles, softened with hot water and pressed noodle. The local way with such leftovers. This is good. I like it. I set over the sour cabbage bowl with its spoonful of chili oil. I hadn't tasted anything so fine in a long while. Xiaomei smiled. Wait till tonight. She'd chop ribs and stew them. Skip the ribs. I brought a pheasant. Clean it and stew that. It's better. Her eyes lit. She ran to the basket and drew out the golden pheasant. Far better eating than the home-raised hens, which were kept for eggs and only killed at New Year, and then the old hens at that. I ate 2 bowls, full to hiccuping, and showed my father the kill. He came in and took the goral for a wild goat. I lifted it to show the difference. A goral, rarely seen. Where'd you take it? Wildgrave's Ridge. I went there today. He marveled I'd really gone to that unlucky place. All thatch and the one collapsed earth house. The lore held, he said. That earth house had been the hunter's chief's, the rest living in timber shacks. Only the chief raided an earth house up in that cold. Then I showed him the sandalwood box dug from the foundation. He stroked it, said it must be old and valuable, but it was locked and I had no key, and nobody hereabouts knew locksmithing, having nothing worth stealing. I shook it. Something rolled. A scroll, I guessed, a painting, maybe worth a great deal. Sell it, I said, and we might step into a well-off life, Shaokong. He'd heard the village head speak of Shaokong as a far-off thing. I told him we'd get there. But there was the goral to deal with. Old Zheng hadn't been in town, and after the New Year few were buying much meat. My father had no answer. This would only get harder as it warmed. Let me ask Xiaolan how her father used to sell his. He went out to where the sisters were dressing the pheasant. Xiaolan said her father had traded small game in the village for grain and butchered the larger game to sell in town, though he'd rarely taken anything large. The 2 hunters, plainly, were not in the same class. And if it didn't all sell? It always did, just 40 or 50 catties. If not, he'd trade the rest for grain in the nearby villages. Their family had lived hand to mouth on game for grain. My father sighed at the trouble of it. We'd grain enough now. The leopards 300 catties. Then Xiaolan brightened. There was another buyer, the commune cafeteria, where Master Zhang had always taken their meat. Xiaomei had been thinking the same. The sisters, being twins, often landed on a thought together. Zhang's a decent man. He bought the lot every time. The cafeteria feeds a yard full of office workers. They'd need a fair bit of meat. So the goral would go there. My father, much heartened, had me hang the goral on the threshing ground frame and we butchered it, drawing villagers who'd never seen a goral. The verdict the same as always. The Li family's days kept getting better. 40 or 50 catties of meat, the hooves and head and offal kept for the family. The pheasant stewed with radish and potato that night was praised round the table, and my father brought out his flask and 2 cups, and we drank a few together. Good liquor with good food. He'd also had a quiet word. Tomorrow, when I took the meat to the cafeteria, could I carry a piece to my sister's family too? He meant Wang Manin, the transport section chief at the supply co-op, who'd always looked down on us as poor. He'd not even let my sister Zhuanzi come home for the New Year. But my father pitied her. With him gone, the whole household couldn't feed itself. I agreed, for her sake. I'd not seen my sister in a long time, and I'd let him see the Li family wasn't what it had been. Next morning, After sunup, I shouldered the basket of goral meat, the sisters walking ahead arm in arm, and we set off for the Xiao commune. Shandian barked to come. I left it to mind the house, too fierce a dog to bring among the commune crowds. 4-star task. The township head, Zhang Xiaohua, has a worry of late. Help him solve it to complete the task. Reward unknown. I'd no idea who Zhang Xiaohua was, much less how I'd get near him to learn his worry, let alone solve it. We crossed the footbridge and went up the river to the road, past the fork, to the commune's white wall. Industry, learn from Daqing on the left, agriculture, learn from Dazai on the right, both half flaked away, and through the open iron gate. The 4-story sky blue office building on the left, the red brick cafeteria opposite, the meeting hall and storehouse at the back. The sisters greeted the old gatekeeper. Then we found Master Zhang prepping vegetables at the kitchen door. He remembered them, the hunter's daughters from Hongqi, and asked why they'd stopped bringing meat. Xiaolan said only that they'd had no good game lately, not wanting to tell a stranger her father was dead. Zhang knew his trade, pressed the meat, firm, springing back, sniffed it, faintly bloody, eyed the grain of it, and pronounced it good. He guessed wild goat. I let him, then mentioned someone had called it a goral, and let him save face by remembering it was goral after all. He bought the lot, raised the price 5 fun on the goral's account. Rare, that, and perhaps to guard his expert's name. 42 caddies at 45 fun, 18 yuan 9. I told him to give me 18, the extra meat my gift to ease a cook's hard day. He was touched. Nobody understood a cook's lot, and I'd made a friend. He counted out 18 yuan in small notes. I pocketed it without counting, which pleased him more. Then I asked, casually, whether Township Head Zhang had come into work. His expression said the head was his nephew, a slip he covered, too busy to be troubled. I pressed gently. I'd heard the head had a worry of late, not a work matter. Perhaps I could help. Zhang thought back over what the head had said, then drew me aside. That very morning the head had asked him to find something rare and fresh, Thai ginseng, a wild high mountain ginseng, so scarce a man could gather herbs all his life and never see one. And it had to be fresh, or the town's herb buying station would have done. I said I hunted those mountains often. If I came on one, I'd dig it whole, roots and all, and bring it. Zhang was delighted. Name your price. And I warned I couldn't promise. The thing was that rare. He said find it in your own time. We understand. I thanked him and we left, the sisters and I. And as we went I asked them, hoping for a lead, whether they'd heard of Thai ginseng. That thing's terribly rare. What does Zhang want it for? Xiaomei hadn't expected the question, and her father had hunted, not gathered herbs, so he'd never come on one. I sighed, a dead end. Then Xiaolan, hesitant, half began something, stopped, said never mind. Out with it. She wasn't sure. When their family first came, she dimly remembered her father mentioning Thai ginseng. Xiaomei didn't recall it. It was long ago, they'd been children. Think hard, what did he say? Xiaolan, near tears at the memory, said he'd told them he'd found a Thai ginseng once, but it hadn't grown to size yet. In a few years, when the girls were grown, he'd dig it and sell it for their dowries, and then he never had the chance. Did he say where? It's been so many years. How could I remember? She said, unhappy, the grief close. Xiaomei steered us off it. Don't press her, let her think it over at home. And we walked on, Xiaolan to remember the place if she could. At the fork the sisters turned for home, and I went on up the road to the supply co-op to bring Wang Manning the meat. Past the credit cooperative, the clinic, the central primary school, where a class sang the lesson opening song that was the fashion of those years, onto the 2-story red brick co-op. Inside, the salesgirls cracked melon seeds and laughed among themselves and paid the few customers no mind. I bought a pack of peony cigarettes from one. Hiwagwa would be coming, and a man should have cigarettes, and asked her to fetch Wang Manning. She flatly refused and went back to her gossip. I wandered the counter hoping to catch him myself. Then my sister Juanzi came in with a lunch tin in one hand and her little girl Choju by the other, bringing her husband's meal. I went to her, sister, and she was astonished and glad. I said I'd brought a piece of meat. She frowned, wondering where the money and meat came from. The family was always too poor to buy here. Just as Wang Manning came down the stairs, sour, telling her she was late. She told him happily her brother had come. He didn't even look at me, not some big leader. And when she pressed the meat on him, he stopped her sharply. The new year was long past, the pigs all butchered. Where had this meat come from? He didn't want trouble. He suspected I'd got it dishonestly. Juanzi defended me. I explained it was Goral I'd hunted, not pork. You hunt. Juanzi gaped, and Wang Manin. Then was it you, the Hongqi hunter who killed a leopard? It was, brother-in-law. Juanzi gasped, a leopard, was I mad? And Wang Manin, eyeing me anew, allowed it was all for the sake of living. I'd just bought him a pack of peonies and offered him one, a cigarette finer than even a section chief often smoked. He took it, tucked it behind his ear to save, and his manner thawed. He even had Choju call me uncle, and I bought the shy child 2 mao of fruit candy. Juanzi pressed me to come home and eat. I declined. Xiaomei was waiting, and the 2 old folks at their house wouldn't welcome me, only shamed Juanzi the more, and left. Wang Manin watching me go with new calculation. A hunting brother-in-law meant meat. Juanzi, who saw her brother as the same as ever, didn't grasp the change in him. Hurrying home, the sun already past noon, I crossed the footbridge to find a busy crowd at the village committee yard and remembered Wang Erbio's plan, the card room. He came rushing over, fretting I'd gone to report him. I said I'd only taken meat to Master Zhang. At that he made a dark, unfinished noise about Zhang. Seems mild, but when it counts, and let it drop. The long meeting table had been sawn into 4, legs being fitted. I asked if he wasn't wrecking public property, and he said he'd just join it back up for meetings. He'd already squared his father. His 5 card mates were doing the work, free labor. But he wouldn't open the den yet, he confided, because his brother-in-law, the station chief, was coming out to Hongqi to have me take him hunting, and he'd wait till the man was gone. So he Weigua really was coming, which unsettled me far more than it pleased Wang Erbio. I left him to it and headed home. Shanyan met me 100 meters out. In the yard, 2 boys were playing, my brother Yongin and Wang Manin's son Chunxing, both in their 3rd year at the Hiku Middle School, home for the Saturday half-day. Chunxing had come to verify the leopard story. Xiaomei came out and proudly told him his uncle had taken meat to his mother, game his uncle had hunted. I waved it off, nothing to boast of, and she went red and fetched my meal. Chunxing, thrilled. So you really are a hunter. Declared he didn't want my gifts. He wanted to come hunting with me himself. School be hanged. A hunter alone was in danger, and from now on he'd come along, wanting no game, only the thrill of the kill. I shut it down hard, a dangerous thing, and he a child, but he flounced off with Yongin vowing he'd follow me whether I took him or not. Xiaomei worried he meant it. I told her he was a child playing at it, and Wang Manin would never allow it. She warmed my meal, pheasant stewed with radish, and a hot flatbread, and we agreed to fold pork and egg into the wild greens dumplings the sisters were making that night, and to stop selling the eggs and keep them for her now, with the baby coming. I asked if Xiaolan had remembered where the Thai ginseng was. Not yet. Don't press her. It was long ago, and they were children. I told Xiaomei to keep reminding her. I meant to dig that ginseng. Then I shouldered a hoe and went to the vegetable plot to help my parents turn it for planting. The spring warming, swallows back from the south, bees working the blossoms, the fields loud with the new year's plowing and sowing. Rest? I'll dig, I told my parents, finding them bent and panting over the beds. My father straightened, knuckling his back, set the hoe across the ridge to sit on, and lit his pipe. He asked after Juanzi. She looked well, I said, and I thought perhaps expecting again. He was glad. Many children meant a thriving house, though I knew the family planning rules were coming and would soon forbid it. Then he raised what was on his mind. The plot would be done today, and the seedlings needed starting, and then fertilizer to set into the beds, more than the manure on the threshing ground could give. His plan, not many were yet hauling night soil from town, so we'd go tomorrow and bring a cartload back to store in the privy. I agreed, but we had no handcart and would have to borrow one from Uncle Yogue's. With my help the digging went fast, and the plot was finished before sundown. My mother shouldered her hoe home. My father and I went to Uncle Yogue's to borrow the cart. As we came up to the yard, we heard cousin Yongjia quarreling inside with his bride Runyi. She'd not conceived and her monthly had come, and he was blaming her, calling her a hen that wouldn't lay, she weeping that it took 2 of them, and we stopped short. Uncle Yogue was trying to calm them, wanting a grandson but helpless. Yongjia threw Xiaomei in her face, already with child so soon after marrying, and Runyi, stung, snapped that if he thought Xiaomei so fine, he could go marry her sister. Uncle Yogue, fed up, came out, and seeing us drew us aside. My father offered a cigarette and asked what the trouble was. Uncle Yugue sighed. Runyi, married a good while now with no sign of a child, and Yongjia anxious. These things can't be hurried, my father said. Then Uncle Yugue turned to me, hesitant, and finally said it plain. The boy had been raised too sheltered. He feared Yongjia didn't understand the matter between a man and wife, and his own wife couldn't bring herself to tell their son. Would I, as the elder cousin, explain it to Yongjia when the chance came, one young man to another? I agreed. It was a sort of elder brother's duty. Relieved, he led us to the woodshed for the cart. He needed no night soil himself. His 2 pigs gave manure enough. The frame and wheels came apart. I shouldered the frame, my father the wheels, and we went home and stored it inside, lest a borrowed thing go missing left out. Xiaolan was bringing out the dumplings, shepherd's purse, with pork and egg, the first bowl my father's. They were good. Shepherd's purse has its own clean fragrance, the leaves soft, the stems crisp, richer for the meat. My mother's bowl had only a few. She claimed she'd drunk her fill of the broth, thirsty from the digging, the old habit of poverty, sparing herself. I asked Yongin whether Chunsheng had gone home. He had, but still vowing to come hunting, and I told Yongin to keep telling him how dangerous it was. My father, halfway through a big bowl, hinted he'd like a couple of cups. My mother scolded, an early start tomorrow for the night soil, and he let it go. My mother offered to come help carry. I told her 2 men were enough. We ate the New Year rare dumplings happily and slept early. Next day, at the second cockcrow, my father and I were ready. Wheels fitted to the frame, manure buckets hung on, the wide night soil vat set on top. I carrying the cart, my father the vat. On the way we met only 2 villagers also bound for the town latrines. 3-star task. Bring a cartload of night soil back from Hiku to complete. Reward unknown. A task even for hauling muck? Surely no one fought over it. We crossed the footbridge, fixed the vat on the cart, and hurried for Hiku to get the drier muck before others came. We reached town as it grew light, the warming days shortening the nights. I parked the cart and my father took the buckets to the public latrine, the old kind, a chute above and an open pit below, where you scooped from the pit's edge, careful, lest the chute send a fresh fall splashing over you. I'll scoop, you carry, I told him, fearing he'd not dodge in time. Coming early, before anyone else, I soon had 2 buckets of dry muck, and he carried them to tip into the vat while I gathered more. The vat would take 5 buckets, might not hold all this latrine's muck. Passers-by held their noses and gave us wide berth. Without the nearby villagers hauling it off, the town would reek in days. Hey, where are you from? Don't you know only we haul this latrine? A middle-aged man barked. My father ignored him and kept tipping. The man seized his arm and wrenched the bucket away. I dropped the scoop and ran over, gripping the man's hand. So you're together? Then know this. Only we by village men haul this latrine's muck. Understood. So that was the task. People really did fight over night soil. There's no sign saying this latrine's yours. Let go of my hand. You let go first. Brothers, dump out their vat. At his word his men moved. Stop. Anyone who touches it answers to me. Just 2 of you, and you'd fight us? He let go my father and grabbed at me. Fight? You think I'm afraid? 1 at a time, or all at once? I'd put down 6 of Wang Erbio's louts. These were only stronger armed. They rolled their sleeves and ringed me, and my father, frightened, begged them off. We didn't know the latrine was yours. Don't beat my son. We'll go, and would have scooped the muck back out to give them. Pa, leave it. I won't hand over what we rose at dawn and stank ourselves to gather. The onlookers gathered to watch, laughing, over manure? This latrines must smell sweeter. Brothers, at him, the man cried, fist up. Stop. Brawling at dawn. Fancy a cell? Came a voice behind. I turned. Hiwegwa, off duty in plain clothes, eating a bun. The Bai man, not knowing him, threatened him too. Try me. Hiwegwa stuffed the bun in his mouth, told the man to step up where he could see him, and the moment he did, took him down in seconds with a trained hold, arm twisted up his back. Report you? Open your eyes. I'm Director Hiwegwa of the station. The man crumbled, begging pardon. Let them go. Director, they only wanted our muck, I said, not wanting it blown up. Fighting over night soil? Get out, the useless lot of you. He let go with a boot to the man's backside, and they fled with their buckets. He recognized me then, the Hongqi hunter, and said, since the day had come anyway, he'd come out to Hongqi tomorrow to hunt. I said I'd await him whenever he liked. We filled the vat, topping it with the wet to make up the last, and I shouldered the cart's strap and hauled it home, my father pushing behind. Farmers used to the stink, this being the treasure that grows the crops. Task complete. Reward. News that there's a karst cave deep in the mountains. Tell Lin Xiaolan of it, and there'll be an unexpected gain. I couldn't guess what gain a cave could hold. My mother met us anxious at the bridge, 2 buckets beside her. Come to help carry. I didn't mention the brawl. It would only have made me a laughingstock. We carried the muck up to the family privy, rinsed the cart and vat in the river, and the job was done. Xiaomei stopped me as I shouldered the cart to return it. Eat first. And my father pointed out it was still dripping and ought to dry before going back. So after the meal, sweet potato paste bean, with sour cabbage, a cold-dressed cabbage shoot, and a bowl of cured pork fried with sauced beans, I took the cart to Uncle Yogue's. Cousin Yongjie came out, alone, his mother and Li Yongli at the mill, Run Yi off cutting pig grass, and I saw my chance for what my uncle had asked. We sat at the yard's edge with 2 chairs, and I came to it plainly. Yesterday, I'd overheard him and Run Yi. He was sure the failure to conceive was her fault. I asked what they did at night. Only slept holding each other, he said. He'd been told that was enough. I understood the trouble then, and explained to him, as one young man to another, what he and his wife actually needed to do, sparing him the lecture on cycles, telling him only to wait until after her monthly had passed, and never to force her if she was unwilling. He thanked me, abashed but enlightened, certain now that conception wasn't so simple as sleeping side by side, and I left him to find Run Yi and talk things through. Pa, busy? Let me help. Back on our threshing ground, I found my father sieving the dried manure into crumbs, the prime stuff for starting seedlings. He didn't stand on ceremony. It was tiring work alone. I took a hoe and heaped the larger lumps together. He asked, anxious, whether the cart was properly stored at Uncle Yogue's. A borrowed thing must go back whole. I said Yongjie had it, the wheels indoors. Then he asked whether I'd forgotten the matter he'd raised last night. I hadn't. I'd already spoken with Yongjie. What was the trouble then? My father was keenly interested. Yongjie's child would be his grandnephew. He only slept holding Run Yi, did nothing else. How would she conceive? My father shook his head. The boy had been too obedient all his life to know even that, and asked if I'd taught him. I had, and reckoned Run Yi would soon be expecting. That settled. It eased Uncle Yogue's heart, and mine too, as the elder cousin's duty. We finished sieving, and my father rested with his pipe while I built the seedbed, a pile 1/2 meter wide, 1 meter long, 1/2 meter high, the crumbled manure spread an inch thick on top. He brought out last year's saved seeds. There was no buying seed in those days. Each kind was kept from the best fruit: cucumber, eggplant, chili, tomato, loofah, bitter melon, green bean, cowpea, every one a hope of harvest. We sowed them sorted and even across the manure, covered them with another thin layer just enough to hide them, and I watered it by hand. Then my father bent 3-meter-long bamboo strips into arches over the bed and laid oilcloth across, pinned down with stones and manure, to keep the warmth in, for the Qinling has its late spring cold snaps nearly every year, and an unsheltered seedling can freeze dead in a night. The seedlings would have to be thinned and transplanted later before they could go into the beds. Raising vegetables was no small thing. From here it's your work, Pa. I don't know it. Don't trouble yourself. I've got it. Then I saw Xiaolin come back with a full basket of pig grass, and the system's reward came to mind, and I went to her. She'd thawed, as a girl can't stay angry at the family that raised her. Do you know if there's a karst cave deep in the mountains? A karst cave? What's that? She asked, chopping the grass with a rusted knife. A cave full of stone that grows up like bamboo shoots. She thought, then remembered. Her father had once spoken of finding such a cave, warm in winter and cool in summer. Where? Over the mountain behind the cave we cleared. There's a river valley, and it's in the valley somewhere. I've never been. Good enough. I'd meant to go deeper into the mountains anyway. Why ask? She said. And besides the cave, did anything else come to mind? The system had promised an unexpected gain from telling her. No, I just remembered Pa mentioning it, and thought it must be beautiful. Nothing else, however I pressed. That was wrong. The system was never wrong. I thought over what was still undone, and remembered the unfinished task, to find the Thai ginseng for the township head. Xiaolan, remember the day we went to the commune? Sure, taking Master Zhang his meat. She'd forgotten her father's words about the ginseng entirely. And what else? What else was there? She asked, baffled. I went around it. She frowned. So I said it plain. The Thai ginseng. You said your father found one. Has it anything to do with that cave? Thai ginseng. The cave, Thai ginseng. The cave, she murmured, then dropped the knife and shot to her feet. Brother-in-law. I know, I really know. Gripping my hand. And the system had been right after all. My father said the Thai ginseng was near the cave. I'm sure of it, dead sure. Xiaomei came running at the shouting. Xiaolan caught her hands and told her, and Xiaomei was glad. At last her brother-in-law's worry could be settled. Where in the cave, though? That I don't recall. Pa never said, but it's near it, certain. It had been her own dowry, set beside a beautiful cave. No wonder it had stayed in her memory. Xiaomei told me to go up and search carefully when I had time. I said I'd be up the mountain tomorrow. No need to rush, that temper of yours. The moment you say a thing, you must do it. Tomorrow's for something else, not the ginseng. And the ginseng, tell no one. If someone else digs it, that's a great loss. We'll say nothing. It's our dowry. Xiaolan laughed, rare and happy. Yes, once your brother-in-law digs it and sells it for your dowry, all settled? Xiaomei said, there you go again. I told you. I'll marry no one. I'll live with you two my whole life. Anger talking still. A grown girl marries. It's always been so. Not unless I find a man as good as brother-in-law, Xiaolan said, gazing at me. I felt that going somewhere it shouldn't, and decided to slip off to Wang Jingwo's to tell him he Weiguo was coming tomorrow. Come back early. I'm starting dinner, Xiaomei called after me. At Wang Jingwo's yard, I found not the village head, but the simple elder brother Wang Dachui squatting, playing with ants. With spring come, the old couple worked the fields alone, neither son any use. Dachui, where's your pa? Yongping, you came. Play ants with me, he said, wiping his nose on a glistening sleeve. I'm busy, Dachui, where's your pa? I've business with him. Out turning the vegetable plot with his ma, he said, stammering, then asking plaintively whether he'd really be in the way if he joined his brother at the village committee. His brother wouldn't let him. You're not in the way, but Dachui has to mind the house, or a thief might come. I'm not scared of thieves. I'll go tell my brother-in-law. He's the station chief. Right you are, Dachui, most useful of all. I turned to go, telling Wang Erbio about he Weiguo would do, but Dachui chased after and caught my arm, shy, head down. He had something to tell me. There's no one here, Dachui. Out with it. Glancing round low, I've found myself a wife. Have you now? That's grand. Whose girl? I hadn't thought any girl would take this poor simple man. You know her too? She's from our village. Who? An uneasy feeling crept in. It's Xiaolan, your wife's sister, the one they call your sister-in-law, right? My eyes went wide. Xiaolan? How? Who told you she'd marry you? My brother did. He said if I don't go with him to the village committee, he'll have Xiaolan marry me. So it was Wang Erbio's scheme again, to keep Dachui off his back. Dachui, to marry, the girl has to agree, and Xiaolan hasn't agreed to anything. Easy. I'll go find Xiaolan now and tell her to marry me. And he made to swagger off, and I caught him fast, knowing what Xiaolan's temper might do if he turned up babbling. You can't go now. Your pa told you to mind the house. If a thief takes the door while you're gone, your pa will beat you. True, he allowed, and went bouncing back to his aunts. That Wang Erbio really needs sorting out. I went to the village committee. Wang Jingwo, back, would keep Dachui from wandering. Erbio, get out here. I shouted from the door, not wanting to say this before a yard of people. Let it spread, and the lie would harden into truth. Why? Our hunting hero, what's your command? He came out grinning with his saw, offering a peony. I don't smoke. Over here. I drew him to the yard's edge. Wang Erbio, what are you playing at? Can you not stop talking nonsense? He played dumb. What did you tell your brother? Then he remembered, and even thought it a fine idea. It solved his brother's marriage and married off my sister-in-law at one stroke. And never mind Dachui's talk of the wedding night. He'd never do such a thing. You're dreaming, my sister-in-law. Marry that simpleton? Yongping, no offense, but Xiaolan came here a refugee, no kin, no household registration. To be married off at all is good fortune. She'd be treated as a true sister-in-law in our house. The old business is finished. Have you asked Xiaolan? Does she agree? Need I ask? To marry into the Wang family is her good fortune. No, if you mean it, Send for Granny Wang the matchmaker to ask Xiaolan properly. If she's willing, we do it by the rules, openly. If she won't, you never speak of it again. It struck me then. If Xiaolan truly were willing, Dachui, simple as he was, would at least never mistreat her. Done. I'll tell Granny Wang when I've time. And until it's settled, no loose talk. Don't ruin her name. She's still to marry. Understood. Anything else? I'm busy in there. Then I remembered why I'd come. Your brother-in-law, Station Chief Huigua, is coming to the village tomorrow to have me take him hunting. He brightened at the chance to court his official brother-in-law. I'll be at your place early, I said, and went home, where Xiaomei had dinner ready and the family ate happy and talking. And I looked at Xiaolan, so artless, and could not tell whether her marrying Wang Dachui would be a good thing or a bad one. Next morning I rose early. Escorting a station chief up the mountain was no small matter. My father, carrying out the chamber pot, asked if it was today. Just take Director he for a look round. He said, no need to bring anything home. A leader up the mountain was risk on risk. I said I'd take him only behind the wheat field and shoot a boar if we met one and come straight back. I'd no intention of leading him into the deep mountains where the fiercer beasts were. Xiaomei filled the canteen with tea, pressed the leftover flatbread on me in case I went hungry, and Xiaolan came out. She wouldn't come along today, but handed me a canvas bag of herbs, sorted and labeled, stanch herbs and bruise herbs, written plain, for whatever might come. I thanked her and shouldered it. With the recurve and the knife, I looked the part of a hunter. 5-star task. Escort Huigua up the mountain to hunt, and bring everyone safely back to complete the task. Reward unknown. A 5-star, and just for a hunt. The reward should be high, but did that mean real danger lay ahead? No matter. I'd killed a leopard. I squared my shoulders and went to Wang Jiangwo's, where only the wife was in, cooking, for her son-in-law, a great occasion. The village head and his sons had gone to the river to meet Huigua, Dachui insisting on tagging along. She bid me sit and help myself to hot water while she worked. This was no plain bowl of noodles she was making. At the river the wait stretched. Wang Erbio fretted. His father told him to be patient. Then Dachui came running along the bank. I saw him, Pa. I really saw him. And Wang Erbio bolted across the swaying footbridge to meet Huigua, who came pushing a brand-new forever bicycle. Erbio fawned, begged to push it and to try riding it. Huigua refused the riding. Public property, all stones on the riverbank, and let him push it. He asked after Li something. The hunter. Erbio swore I'd better have come or he'd sort me out, and Huigua cut him off sharply. He'd invited a man to guide him, and any of Erbio's nonsense he'd not forgive. Wang Jiangwo came across the bridge to greet his son-in-law, the two of them trading peony cigarettes and his father's pipe tobacco, and Wang Jiangwo led them home. Couldn't have his son-in-law shoved about on a cold riverbank, insisting Huigua eat first. Dachui burst out his good news. Xiaolan was to marry him, and Huigua, not knowing the story, thought it well that someone would care for the simple boy, and offered, if the girl Xiaolan agreed, to fix her household registration himself, which Wang Jiangwo was sure would clinch it. Wang Erbio bragged the match had been his idea and was asked where his own girl was. He laughed it off, unable to mention the gambling den. When they came up the yard, I went out to meet them, offered Huigua a peony. Smoking such good cigarettes, are you? But he pressed one of his own on me in turn, in good humor, and when I said I didn't smoke, insisted. How's a man not smoke? Wang Jiangwo scolded me to take the station chief's cigarette, and I lit it to keep the mood, and coughed on the first draw, to their great delight. Now you're a man, they laughed. Our hunting hero's a real man at last. Wang Jiangwo and Wang Erbio laughing hardest, plainly at my expense. I forced it down, and from that day, truth be told, I could never quite put it down again. They sat to eat. 4 meat dishes, fresh meat hard to come by that season. Wang Jiangwo sparing nothing for his son-in-law, and shut the door against the wind, not calling me in, family only. Out in the yard, Wang Erbio's hangers-on Dinyo and Godan drifted up, summoned to be free labor. They downed tools at the village committee while the station chief was about, stretching their necks at the closed door, sniffing the meat like dogs while Shandian sat unmoved. After a while, Wang Jiangwo's wife brought me out a bowl of rice heaped with cabbage and tofu and cured pork under a bright slab of it. Her real errand was to entrust her son-in-law's safety to me, and I promised everyone would come back safe. I gave Shandian a piece of the fat, to Dinyo and Go Dan's disbelief. Feeding such pork to a dog? But on the mountain, I told them, Shandian could save a life. Then Wegwa came out. Eden? We should set off. What's your plan? Behind the wheat field there's a cliff with caves, and boar in them. You're sure? I took one there before the new year, sold it to Urbio. So that boar Urbio gave me was your kill. Not bad. But then he caught my arm, hesitant. Maybe not boar, he'd shot plenty of those. He'd asked the hunting hero up specially and wanted to go somewhere farther. Wang Urbio, out now, pressed it too. His brother-in-law had come all this way. I couldn't fob him off. I said I worried for the chief's safety. Wegwa took from his back a short double-barreled shotgun, fine for big game at close range, light to carry, and promised that if I pleased him he'd find me one too, and now I needn't fear for his safety. He was a real hunter, not all talk like Urbio. Wang Urbio, eager to see the deep mountains and still nursing his leopard grudge, wanted to go to the cave I'd cleared, a place to rest, and Wegwa agreed at once. I didn't want a crowd, fierce beasts and these men to mind, but Wang Urbio had it arranged. Dinyo and Go Dan would wait at the cave with the gear. Wegwa's 2-barrel and 2 Type 50 SXS, a knife, food, a net. We set off for the gully, the sun already high. Coming back early was hopeless now. The Wang parents called after us with warnings. Be careful, mind the fierce beasts. Run if you must, be home by dark. Wegwa admired Shandian. With 3 guns and a dog like this, he said, we'd be a laughingstock if we came back empty. And we climbed in high spirits, the talk deepening my acquaintance with the man, which would matter later. An hour or more brought us to the cave. The wire on the door was just as I'd left it, and I opened it. Wegwa admired the bedding inside. You've even somewhere to live. And Dinyo fetched him a stone to sit on. Go Dan offered water, while Wang Urbio slumped panting, soft for all his youth. The station chief barely flushed. Which way now? Over the mountain behind, to see the country beyond. Wang Urbio groaned at more climbing. Wegwa told him to wait here if he couldn't manage, and that stung him on. We ate to fuel up. I'll divide us up, director, if you don't mind. On the mountain, we follow your word. Dinyo, Go Dan, you two hold here. Boil water and ready some food for when we're back. Dinyo protested he wanted to see the fierce beasts. I had a thought. The 5 traps at Wildgrave's Ridge, long unchecked. If you're truly idle, I've a job, if you dare. Nowhere we daren't go, short of tigers and leopards. Wildgrave's Ridge, know it. Heard of it, unlucky place. I goaded them, gave the directions, through the brushwood to the thatch field. 5 of my traps were set there, each marked by a cloth strip on the tree beside it. Bring back whatever they'd caught, and reset and rebate each one. I taught them how, so the traps would keep working. They'd find the place now and likely visit often, but it was only hares and pheasants. Clean up here first, I told them. Put the food in the cave, wire the door, or you'll draw the wolves. This had been a wolf's den. Then, to Wegwa, we set off too. He shouldered the canteen and led up toward the summit, Wang Urbio trailing. Stay close to my son-in-law, he said. Wegwa arranged us, me leading, Urbio in the middle, himself behind. The station chief's good order plane. 10 minutes more to the top, a chill spring wind making us all pull our coats tight. Ahead, on the summit, a small stone hut. Out here, more likely a land god shrine, Wegwa said. I went to look, half knowing why one stood there. A little dry stone shrine, 1.5 meters square, long abandoned. Its capstones fallen, one corner collapsed, a mouse darting out, empty inside, as these always are. The hunters of Wildgrave's Ridge raised it to bless their hunting. I told him and explained the place. A band of hunters wiped out by a wolf pack in a night. A grim story. Hunting's a dangerous thing. I said I meant, when I'd time, to repair the shrine and keep its offerings myself, to be blessed in my hunting. Wegwa, a party man, didn't believe in such things, but it was no business of his. Then Wang Urbio came running and shouting, Brother-in-law, I found something good. Were you chased by wolves? Better than wolves, a whole herd of beasts down there. He led us onto a great rock overlooking a winding river valley, snowmelt running bright through it, and on a greening patch of grass by the water a herd of takin grazed. The burly bulls ranged round the outside, the weaker females and the heavy-bellied ones safe in the middle. Sheep? Urbio asked, the local word for takin. Takin, Hiwegwa said, pleased. A dozen or more, though the great herds run to 100. Hard to handle, a herd that size. 3 of us, and good guns, he said, patting the 2-barrel. Let's go down and look before we decide. But Wang Erbio had already leapt from the rock and run for the valley, and Hiwegwa and I followed, down a slope thick with 20 and 30-meter oaks. Wang Erbio crashed down heedless, branches whipping his face and arms, slipping on loose stones, rolling and caught by the oaks, scattering crows and sparrows, while Hiwegwa and I came down careful, hand to trunk. Slow down, you'll hurt yourself, Hiwegwa called, and Erbio missed his footing again, caught a branch to save himself, and found he'd seized a thorn bough. His palm was full of thorns and bleeding, and he howled. Hiwegwa, still far off, told him to pull them. 1 thorn out, and Erbio couldn't bear more. How many are there? My whole palm's blood. I said nothing. Only thorns, a small comeuppance for a man who'd never known hardship. But when we reached him, his palm was a ruin. A dozen and more thorns in it. Yongping, what do we do? It's my left hand. It won't stop me shooting, Erbio managed, grinning through the pain. Easy to say. Leave it and the hand's ruined. Hiwegwa pressed me. He knew Erbio threw his weight around, but help him now. Pull the thorns, disinfect, herbs, bandage, done. Out here, how? Want to keep the hand? Then do as I say. Hiwegwa, serious, told Erbio to stop being stubborn and listen. Then I'll start. I cut a tough green branch with the knife, whittled 2 flat 1-centimeter ends, and folded it into a crude pair of tweezers. Hold still, second young master, this'll hurt. I felt a small private satisfaction. He bit down on his sleeve. Hiwegwa gripped his wrist to keep the wound from tearing, and I yanked the biggest thorn without warning. Erbio roared, scattering birds, then worked fast, and in a few minutes all the thorns were out, the blood running freer now. Disinfect, go piss on your hand. I told him, urine works. I've none. Hiwegwa handed him the canteen. Erbio gulped half of it down, ran off, and watered his own palm, coming back reeking. I took from the canvas bag the newspaper packet marked stanch, opened it to a strong herb smell. You came well prepared, Hiwegwa said, spread the powder over the palm, holding my nose, and tossed him a cloth strip to bind it tight with his good hand. Done. Now move, before the takin scatter. Erbio, behave, or one more hurt, and you go home.